100 pounds of lettuce. Yes. Let's make an estimate. Each lettuce will weigh what? About 3/4 pound. 3/4 pound, right? Which is average. 0.75. Yes. Alright. 0.75. Right. So how close to the plant to lettuce?
8 inches.
8 inches by 8 inches, right? Yeah. So calculate that now. If you're going to work 8 inches by 8 inches.
In what size bed?
Well, you need to determine the size of bed based on production. So work that out. You need 100 pounds of lettuce, right? Going to be 3/4 pounds. You plant them 8 inches by 8 inches.
So 3/4 divided by 100.
Right? So what are you going to do? You want to work that out in terms of square foot. That's what?
8 times 81. 8 times 64.
No, square foot. Square footage.
Okay.
No. 64 times
64 times 64.
Hold on, I see.
Yes, because I hear people showing numbers.
Right.
Go slowly for me.
Okay.
My mother is a mathematician. I'm not.
If you want to work this out as square footage,
Yeah.
this is what you do.
Yes.
You can find 8 as a fraction of 12, which is 12 inches, which is going to be 1 foot, correct?
Yeah.
Good. And you're going to multiply it again by the same thing. Right?
I got that.
So when you multiply this out, what are you going to get? 6, 4, 2, 3. Right. Fractionalize it when you get 0.67, right? So it's going to be 0.67 times 0.67, right? Which is, when you work it out in terms of square footage, is really 0.67 of a square foot. No, wrong. Work that out from somebody calculate.
Thank you very much. I don't want you to just show
0.67
numbers.
times 0.67.
67 times 0.67.
No, 0.67 times 0.67. 2 times by 2 times.
0.448.
0.448.
Yeah.
So call it half.
Yeah, you can call it half.
Right? So you know that you bring. So you bring it 0.5. 0.5. Multiply that out now. 0.5. This is square foot. It will be. Sorry. Divide the 100 pounds by
0.75.
0.75. That will give you how many plants? Then multiply it out by this to get your square footage overall.
Divide 100 pounds. Divide 100 pounds by.
Divide by 0.75.
Divide by 0.75. How much you get?
75.
No, more than that. 0.75.
100 divided by 0.75.
133.
So you get
133.
133 plants, right? You need 123 plants at 0.75 pounds to give you 100 pounds, correct?
Right.
Plant space that he was using was how much?
8 by 8.
8 by 8, which is half a square foot.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's going to be 0.5, which is a half a square foot, to divide amongst 123 plants. So you have 123 multiplied by 0.5 or half of it. How many again?
66.
60.
66.67.
Right, so that's why I was coming up with this figure in the first place. 0.67 or 67 square foot. You get that?
No.
Alright, let's go back to one.
Yeah, man, start all over everything.
No, let's go to the first and then quickly go back to one. Let's go. So you have, remember now, he wanted to plant this thing at 8 inches.
Yes.
So 8 inches by 8 inches will give you a certain square footage.
Right.
Which is about half a square foot.
Right.
Right. So you need to plant 133 plants at half a square foot. Right, sure.
To get that amount.
You understand? To get 133 plants. Good.
67 lettuce by each side.
You understand? You need to know how much square footage you would need actually to hold the number of plants.
Yeah.
You got that? Okay. Good. So in order to do that, you have 0.5 right? Multiplied by the 133.
Can you show me that which is the amount of plants?
This 0.5 comes from the square foot space for each.
8 by 8. Oh. 8 by 8.
8 inches times 8 inches.
Give it a 0.5.
Give it a 0.5. Roughly.
Question now.
Right.
Is that enough space in terms of between each lettuce in terms of room space?
For, I think Rada guys had said that that is sufficient. My calculation, my theory is that yes, it is sufficient to give you a 3/4 of the plant.
Okay.
Right. That's a good question. Because that's one of the questions when anyway ask. How far should we plant it? Right? Should. And that's dependent on the type of lettuce that it is. Because that is for romaine lettuce. This is for romaine lettuce that grows upright. If it's your we call now bib, the ones that grow out like that, you're gonna need more spacing. So this is where a lot of the research will come in, and you have to do your part. You can't provide information for the every single plant, but you can get it out there, Google it, and you'll find the space you need for a particular crop that you want to plant.
Because it was right up to yesterday where I was saying with Johnny's in terms of the variation of the road.
Right, but as I said, you have that already, you know that already, everybody knows that. We don't want to spend more time, a lot of time. We have a little time, a lot to do. So these are the more important things. We know that you need to know the plant space in order to work out exactly what size system you need. Got that?
Good question.
Yeah.
When you divide 143 plants times the 5.5 square footage, you get 607.
Right.
What does that indicate?
That is the square footage of space that you need to put all of your plants.
Almost half square
Right.
foot.
Good. So everybody get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So you know now that is going to be multiplied by 67, roughly 67 square foot of growing space.
67 square foot of growing space.
Right.
To grow 100, 133.
100 pounds of lettuce. If you make the assumption that you know that you're going to come out of 5.75 size heads, and you plan to plant them at 8 inches apart, which is where your square foot space between the plants are. If we're using 1 foot space, it would have been easier, right? Because it's almost 1 times 1, simple. So this is 67 square foot of growing space. Now, next part of this is what? The design. How do you plan to design your system in order to get the 67 square foot? How do you work your square footage? It's length, line, width, right? Now that's if you have a linear system. Then we have square foot if you have. Suppose you want to grow your system, set your system like that. Right, you work out the square footage, you work it out on the inside. Your area would be pi r squared, right? Good. No, I'm just saying that, you don't forget. I'm just saying that your design, remember we're covering now, if you have a space and your area is, you'd say about an old pool. Or you have a little jacuzzi and you want to go in your, you work it out properly, right? And hold it. Good. So, your design. Okay, can I rub this out? You all have this now?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is the figure we have here. So, I'm going to put that over the top. 100 plants.
Long one.
Sorry.
100 pounds.
100 pounds.
133 plants.
Right, 133 plants.
67 square.
I put at 0.75 pounds, and we have 67 square feet. And so we have that already, and we know how we came to that, right?
Yeah.
Good. So we're gonna do a little sketch to get your design. So you can divide. Remember now, this could be easily be 10,000 plants.
Right.
And you could also, but you want your total growing space to be this.
Yes.
Good. So you work it back, you know what you want it to do. What do you want to do? How many plants you want to grow?
100 pounds of lettuce.
100 pounds of lettuce, right? That's their objective. At what size you want those lettuce to be? Because your market says more than 2 pounds, and if it's 2 pounds, you're going to want to look bigger. Variety, when you check the variety type that you're going to sell them, you realize that 0.75 is what they said. Right, good. So, in order to get 100 pounds of lettuce, how many 0.7 pound plants you need? 133. The directions on the planting scale says best plant them at 8 inches. So you calculate 8 inches. 8 inches by 8 inches. Another way to do it, another way to do it is to multiply 8 by 8 and divide by 144. Right? Another way. Right. Yeah. So yeah. Work it out in inches and then divide it back out. You know, so it's gonna be 12. You know, 12 inches is 1 foot, right? So it's 12 by 12, 144. 8 by 8 is 64. You understand? So I work it out and divide it out. Come back to the same thing. It's about half a foot, right? So remember that those are just an approximation and so I rounded up, right? So you understand how you get it now? So 133 plants and the space between them will be half a foot, 0.54, half a square foot. And when you divide that out, you end up with 67 square feet. So your design. How do you want to set up your system? You want ease of access, so we can design a 4 feet because you can easily reach across 2 feet, right. And you go on that side, somewhere it's going to go like 2 feet and you reach the entire bed. If you go 3 feet, basically you're going either, you're overreaching or you're wasting space. So you do where you can't actually reach and so on. So you know it's going to be 4 feet wide on the inside, right? Because you have determined that 4 feet is safe for you. It could be 3 feet, it could be a foot. You might have a grandmother who can't reach over and you want it for her. So you have to consider those things. So you know it's going to be, I'm doing this from top now. So it's 4 feet across. In order to get 67 square foot, what do? You know it's across already. So you get the width already, right? Which is 4 feet. So the length now is going to be
16.75.
So roll it up.
17.
About right. So it's a 68 divided by 4. How much you get? 17 feet, right?
Yeah.
17 feet. So you know your grow bed is gonna be 17 foot by 4 foot on the inside. So remember this, you're going to build it out or something or whatever it is. So this is a working area that you're talking about. So that's a grow bed space. You understand that now? Yes. Everybody get that?
Yeah.
So 17.
How close to the sides you can start?
We usually say about 3 inches or 4 inches away from the side and so on. Right. So that's why I usually say better round up and go a little bit wider because you want to take those into consideration. I would have probably just got 20 foot. You understand? If you just worried about saying it's 80 foot system you want. Right, but let's work it because I want to get the concept of it properly. Good. Not yet. So that's how you're seeing it from above. From the side, it's gonna look something like that, right? In our systems, you usually have the gravel. The gravel is what you use as filter. The gravel also anchors up plants, roots, and so on. 6 inches of gravel is a good amount to use. You could use 8 inches depending on the sort of plants and so on. But let's work with 6 inches. So you know that 6 inches of this system is going to be covered in gravel, right? So this is the gravel below. When you look at it from the side, I will tell the significance of that. Because you need to calculate how much water your system is going to take out of your tank. Right? Good. No, the gravel it's not, no, not the gravel, but medium. But you know, gravel, all gravel in terms of the density and so on will displace a certain amount of water. So, this portion, you need to calculate as well in terms of volume of water. So I'll work out the volume of water in this portion. So volume is equal to length times width times height. Good. So this is volume. Your height here is about 12 inches, 6 inches here. Good? So your length is what? 17?
17 feet.
So it's feet, right? Your width is 4. And the height is 6 inches, good. Which is what? Represented? Yeah. So 6 inches is what fraction of a foot? Half. So it's 0.5. So everybody get that? 0.5. So calculate that out for me, please.
34.
So we have 34 what? 34 cubic feet. Cubic feet. Or you could say, good, same thing. 34 cubic feet. How do you convert cubic feet to gallons? Remember that. Convert the cubic feet to gallons. Which is what? It's easy, it's there. I think you multiply it by 7.4. Multiply by 7.4. I mean, it's there, it's available. I mean, I remember. How convert what? Yeah, just multiply this figure by 7.48. So cubic feet to gallons is just multiplied. So conversion, cubic feet to gallons is multiplied by 7.48. What do you get?
You lost me. How do you get 7.4?
No, it's a form. It's just the standard. Like if you convert feet to inches and so on and so forth, right? And that's in terms of water, by the way.
34. It's 34 cubic feet.
Yes, 34 cubic feet to gallons.
54 gallons.
How much?
154 gallons.
So 254 gallons. And you can see that it's almost the same if you just quickly, 254 equal 254 gallons. Good. Now here's where it gets tricky. That's if there wasn't gravel in the system, that's the amount of water that will be there. If there wasn't gravel, that, remember, it's just volume of working out here now.
Right.
The volume is this area here, this space here.
So if you're doing a floating raw system, that is what is expected.
I don't want to confuse nobody, so just stick to the gravel system for now. You want to work out this area here, and you want to know how much water is going to be displaced from your tank when you pump it, because you need to design a tank size to match the grow bed size. Right? Rearing tank, some tank, all the tanks. But let me say, I don't want to complicate it yet, so let's take it stage by stage. Right, stage by stage. 254 gallons is what is going to be needed to fill that area here without the gravel. What will happen if I put gravel in any water at all that's contained in a container? My friend who is the shipman. Displacement. Displacement is what? What displacement? Displacement is
movement of body of water. Spreading the water.
under the body, right? So what will be the downward flow if you put back the same? If you put this volume of water here and then you add something to it, what will happen to this water? It when this place and when go up the sun, show. But you don't want that to happen, correct? So what can you do in order to keep the volume of water right where the gravel is? You can calculate it on the rock, yeah, which is very difficult, but can be done easily. Simple. You can get the same gravel that you're going to use. Get a container, simple container that you can measure and see the difference. Get the gravel.
Oh, so yes.
Pour the thing without the gravel. Mark the line where you want it first without the gravel. Put the gravel in. Throw off the amount of water that you see. Calculate the total against what is left behind.
Yeah.
So therefore you're going to get a difference.
Yeah.
That is the same thing that's applicable. That displacement will hold true for any shape at all. Right? What is going to happen is that you don't need the portion that you see is above the gravel.
Right.
So that calculation will apply to this. So you're going to know that I can tell you already. It's about 30%. It's about 30% that will remain behind. And it depends on the amount of gravel that you put inside of it. And the shape of the gravel is what is shape of it more than and the mass of it.
So you
Yeah, but how do you do that for normal?
Too much.
It's easier to just put it and calculate it like this. But a very simple thing is that it's now about 30%. That's going to be.
This 30% of the 254?
No, you're going to displace about 70%. So 30% is going to remain behind.
Oh.
So this figure here,
30% is going to remain.
yeah, so this now is going to become about 80 gallons.
Yeah.
Could you weigh the
If you weigh the...
we can, but not much.
No, because the density, because it's the shape of it, it's going to, I mean, a rock that is so big, and to calculate the displacement and the weight, how do you weigh like the amount of gravel?
No, you can use multiples of it and scale it up like you use a bucket.
Right? And you weigh all of
the
it.
weight of that.
Yeah. And you do that repeatedly for the entire...
Yes, and multiply.
But it's a lot simpler if you just get the same bucket, put the gravel in there at 6 inches, pour it out and just see what it would be the differential. It is going to be applicable throughout the entire bed. Yeah, so if you do it like, so I guess the weight could be, but I know that there will be some variables on it, because the mass of that is going to be, Kyle, he was asking a question that that probably you and I would have known answer to. Weight of it. Isn't it's going to be directly proportional to it in terms of what is displaced?
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes, you are correct, you know. But just the challenge in saying go weighting out water and so on, because yes, you can weigh the water.
So it's that because it's ununiform shape.
Right.
So the density of it is ununiform.
Right.
So that 80 gallons you're talking about?
So basically it's an average percentage.
Is what the tank is what you...
This is what's gonna, when you pump from your tank,
yeah.
you're gonna be left with, when you pump from your tank, 80, and when you pump from your tank, which is, alright, let me just change it. Alright, so everybody have this up to this point?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to just need more board. So the displaced. Alright, let's use the word pump. Pump volume.
When you say 70%?
We'll go up. Pump the volume. So the amount being pumped is about 30%, right? And we said that was our 80. What, 250 something divided?
80 gallons.
80 gallons? Just over 80 gallons.
Yeah.
Work it out for me, just 254 divided. Yeah. Divided by 3.
84.
Yeah. 84. Like I said, just roughly
85.
85.
84.66.
Alright, 85.
So that's what 254 times.
Divided by 3.
Yeah.
Let's say a third is going to be left back. Divided by 3.
Multiply by
Total volume was what? Total volume was 254 gallons, right?
Yes.
But you don't really want the total volume. What you want is the amount that's going to be, that will remain with the gravel. Right. When you add the gravel to the water at the 6-inch line, you're going to end up with 85 gallons of water. That's going to be at the water line.
Right.
Where the gravel is.
Understand.
Right. And that is about 30%. That is about 30%. That is about 30% of the total amount.
Okay.
So the rocks will displace 60% of it.
30% of
Okay.
The rocks. Alright, hold on. Right. So, right. Good. So the rocks will displace about 67% of the water.
Okay.
Right. In order to be at the water line. Good.
Divided by 33.
Yeah.
133.
Yeah.
It's 1/3.
1/3, right.
Yeah.
So if you know that that's going to happen, now we can design a tank. Right? And like I said, we're doing this a simplified way. So you have your tank, you know how much water is going to be pumped out, which is 80 gallons or 85 gallons. You have your tank here. How much fish you want to grow? Oh, you can't calculate it out easily.
No.
This, no, you realize, no, you realize, do you realize why we went to the trouble of knowing how much this is, right? This is to tell you how much real volume of water you really need to pump and actually have sufficient left behind to work the system, right? So, you won't believe this, but I'm going to show you something. You remember that calculation we started yesterday?
No.
The day before. The one about the fish feed.
Yeah.
How much feed would you need to grow 100 pounds? Sorry, let's not use it that way. How much feed would you need to grow 67 square feet? Let's make reference to the formula to have.
It's the number of grams of feed per square foot per day. That's the number.
Grams of feed, right up here. So grams of feed, let's
I average it at 2.
grams of feed per square foot per day. And that is what?
1.4.
1.4, so it was a range. So it's 1.4 to 2.3. And what you're planting? Lettuce, right?
Yeah.
So where would you go on the scale here? Lettuce takes a lot less nutrients than something else. But let's say you want to diversify later on and you want to do something, right? Let's say you could use I usually go in the middle, somewhere near the middle. I usually work with 2. So you could say 2 grams. Or my friend go.
Paul, and that leads us to what again?
What? Up here? You want to know how much feed?
How much feed?
Right.
We produce 120.
How much feed will be used in a 67 square foot system?
Grams per square foot, right?
Grams per square foot.
Grams per feet.
So that's grams of feed per square
Grams of feed.
Per square feet.
Yeah. So 20 grams, 2 grams will cover 1 square foot. That's the one to choose. Out of this range, we're saying 2 grams. I would say 2 because it's nice and in the middle, easy to work with. For me, you could use something else if you want.
It's an easy number.
So, you have 67 square feet. How many grams of feed?
67 times 2.
67 times 2.
It is
So 67 times 2 is how much?
170.
Huh?
134.
134, yeah.
So 134 grams of
Feeds.
of feed per day for your 67 foot. Right? Okay. You have to make some assumptions now. Are you going to work with big fish, small fish, what kind of fish should grow, right? To feed 134 grams of feed per day, you have a lot of choices here. this is going to be the total amount of feed for the total amount of fish you have in the system.
For the day.
For the day. Right. So let's make another assumption that what size fish you're thinking about? You want to have
200
babies.
200 grams?
Yeah, 200 grams.
And they'll be 200 grams a whole lot. And so why I tell you it's always a range you work with, and why you always have to do some calculation, and why you always need to be adding water, because as the fish grow, you'll increase the amount of feed. If you increase the amount of feed, you'll be adding more nutrients. If you add too much more nutrients and you don't have sufficient plants, what will happen to your fish? They'll die. So the only thing you can do is to do what?
Reduce.
Do a top up. Dump some of the water, hopefully have a field nearby, dump some and add more to it. You keep your calculation going. Or you can always maybe add another grow bed. But in adding another grow bed, what's going to happen? You're going to pump more water from a tank. What's going to happen to the water that's in the one tank where you have? It's going to go down. So instead of range is always happening, movement is always happening, so you always have to be thinking. Right, good. Adjustment. Or you could stick to a fish that grows to a certain size, get them at that size, keep them at that size, and use that calculation for a long time. Or you could get big mature fish, maybe instead of having 1,000 small ones, have 10 big ones. Why? Easier, them stop well. And I really stop grow, but it's an easier thing. Easier to deal with 10 big fish than so many small ones. Right. I do the same feeding as well to the fish. Always bearing in mind the fish feed. So we want to use the total body mass now, right? We're just use the total body mass of fish. So depending on, doesn't matter the size. Let's say that you'll have, work this out for me. If you're, well, you're going to have an idea, so how large the tilapia are. Yes, Alan?
200 grams tilapia.
200 grams. So let's work with 200 gram tilapia. If you have them at 200 grams, what's the, you did this yesterday already, feed conversion?
How many? You want the feed conversion or you want?
You feed them about what, 3 times a day? At 200 grams?
Big fish,
200 grams, I think this is reasonable. I think 3 would be better.
Yeah, so we'll say 3 times.
So 3 times daily. You know, this really we didn't have to put in how much time daily, but I wanted to think about it at the same time. 3 times a daily, 3 times daily.
What percent of biomass do you need?
Right.
You have to know how much.
What percentage usually is applicable to 200 grams? It's about 3%? 3%. Alright, so I hope I'm not losing you now. This is a formula that you'll tend to, I mean, this is given all the time. So if you're doing tilapia, you'll know this. It's always going to be available. Just refer to the document that you have. Because as the gram size increases, then this will change, this will change. So then you apply the same formula according to the size of your fish. So it's important to know the size of your fish in order to get a biomass.
The 3% is what?
3% is the feed rate. The feed ratio, I should say. So when your fish are 200 grams, you're going to feed them 3% of their body weight. That's what they consume each day. 3% of their body weight. Right. And that's throughout the day. Yeah.
3%.
For tilapia. And that's throughout the day. And this part here, really I never had to put that there, but you really don't want to feed them one time for the day. So you're going to break that up. So 3% of 200 grams is how much? 12? 3% of 200 is 6
grams.
6
Grams per fish.
grams per fish. And how much grams we have to feed them for the day? 134, right? Good. Total of 134. And they have 6 grams per fish. How many fish? Divide the 6 by, divide the 134 by the 6. That's how much? How much? Equals Repeat, Baba.
22 fish. We'll go back over it. So we understand how we come to the 134, correct?
Yeah.
You basically.
Can you go over it?
Go back over the
134. Alright, let's go back over the 134. You remember the feed rate per day in an aquaponic system that's based gravel bed. The rate or the amount of feed that will cover 1 square foot is between 1.4 grams to 2.3 grams. We have selected a range of 2 grams or amount of 2 grams per day per square foot. We know that we have 67 square feet. Therefore, 2 grams per square foot times the 67 square feet is what will give us the amount of grams per day from where? To feed your fish in the system. Now we have the amount of feed, we need to calculate how many fish you're going to have in the system. Got that? And in order to calculate that, we need this ratio here, we need this formula here. We need to know the size of fish that we're going to stock it with. And we also need to know the ratio that follows the feeding rate for that size fish, which is normally given for tilapia and any other fish. We know that 3% is the feeding ratio for the fish at 200 grams. So by that calculation, we know that a total amount of 3% of 200 grams will give you 6 grams per fish. Because grams of feed per fish. Because a total of 134 for the entire day, for the entire bed, we want to find out how many fish now. Remember, it's fish you want to know how many. But you know the feed, you want to work it down to the fish now. 6 grams per fish. Total grams needed, 134 divided by the grams per fish will give you the total grams of fish in your system. And now based on that, we have come up with 22 fish for your system to support all of this information here.
So would that 22 fish be fingerlings?
It would be fish at 200 grams each, which would be a little bit more than fingerlings. About quarter pound, that is. Right?
Okay.
Good. So everybody has gotten this. And you have taken note of it. Alright, good.
I don't know.
So I'm going to jot down what we have so far based on what we received. Remember, when a fish grow, you may have an idea of the average amount. You can either sell some to reduce the amount of feed that you're going to use. So you have options. You can add fresh water to your system every day. You understand? You can eat some. You just want to ensure that you have a good, good amount going into the system to support the system on a daily basis for the lettuce that you want to sell. So I can move on? Alright, so let me erase that now. Still not get it?
No,
alright, so I'm going to write 22 fish. So we have 22 fish. So we have 22 fish. And there are 200 grams. Alright, what's the next thing we're going to find out? We want to know how much gallons of water will support. Remember, it's not yet finished. We need to know the tank size and the amount of water we need in the tank to support how many fish? 22 fish at what size? You remember the formula we used to get the amount of fish to volume of water? Stocking density? Right. So it's somewhere between 0.1 to 0.3 pounds per gallon. Right. So it's pounds per gallon. Anywhere in that range is quite fine. So that might somewhat take care of the number.
How much water?
Trying to find out how much water will support the 22 fish that you have here. Right. So remember now, we need 2 things with the water. We need to know how much water will support the number of fish. We also need to know how much water will actually go in the tank, so when it's pumped, you don't run dry. Good. So first thing, what you're gonna do? Convert
How many grams of fish do we have?
Yeah, total amount of grams of fish. Well, so we're gonna, what's the first thing we're gonna do? We're gonna convert this to what? To pounds. Good. Why? Right. Good. So you know how much pounds you're gonna have to the water. Good. So in order to calculate grams per pound, what the total, remember, it's the total amount of fish. So it's gonna be 22 times 200. 22 times 200. And that will give us
44 times 200.
what, 44.
44 times 200.
0.
One more 0?
88 pounds. 88 pounds.
Right, so that is in grams, correct? This is in grams. Remember this carefully. That's in grams, but you want to convert it to what?
So that is the total.
It's the total amount of fish times the amount of grams, so you need the biomass. Then you need to calculate this now too. Well, you need to turn this. So it's going to be 4400 divided by 454. Why that 454?
Where you get that number?
1 pound is 400.
This 454
grams.
because 1 pound is 454 grams.
And I got some of that. Yeah.
So alright, let's go back a little bit on this then, because I know this will. Again, the conversion from grams to pounds is to divide the amount of grams by 454. So it's just,
There's all the unit conversions on the last page.
yeah, it's all on, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the last.
So it's just to divide.
So then you'll put 9
Grams
7
to
pounds.
pounds divide by 454. Good, so it's gonna be 44 grams divided by 454, and that will give you how many pounds?
9.7.
Roughly 10 pounds. Good.
9.7.
That's why I say it's ballpark, so we can work with that. But when you're going to do your calculation, you know, put on the 10 pounds. All right. So yes.
Can I just say,
Yes.
I notice you're just rounding it off and not telling the people, because when people going back and reading it,
Yes.
and things,
Yes.
I want them to know it's not exactly 10 pounds. But approximate, please.
All right. Good. All right. Good. Let's say
Yeah, right.
APP. Correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Approximately 10 pounds.
Right.
Got that?
Right.
Everybody got that? So it's about 10 pounds of fish.
Yes. Mathematics.
I remember it's a range, so it's easy to approximate. Nice to approximate. About 10 pounds.
The total weight of fish is 10 pounds.
Total weight of the fish. So the total weight of the fish, which is 10 pounds of fish, we're having a system to grow 100 plants. Start to grow 100 pounds. No, that's not a direct relationship between 10 pounds and 100. Right? It might sound close like it all the time, but don't use that. I can show you.
Okay.
Good. So about 10 pounds of fish. How much volume of water that they need now? How much volume of water? If we're using a rate of what? 0.1 to 0.3. How much volume of water we can do? 50? Sure? So it could be from 50 to how much?
150.
From anywhere from? From 50 to 150? Well, think about it.
Take your 10 pounds and divide it by 0.1.
10 pounds divided by 0.1 is how much?
Yes. 100 pounds.
10 divided by 0.1 is how much?
100.
100. So it could be anywhere from 100 gallons. Well, it could be, yeah, 100 gallons. I don't know. So it's going to be
So the next question, how much gas?
10 pounds divided by 0.1 to 10 pounds divided by 0.3. So work them out from a different. So this one is what? And this one is what? This is 100. And this one is how much?
300.
Sure? 10 divided by 0.3? 33.
33.
Correct, because this stocking density is greater than this one. So it could be, yes?
Using the approximate of 2 I did.
What approximate of 2? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, the minimum.
I mean, in a range, you can choose. Right.
Yeah, choose 2 cost 50. All right, then.
So this is gallons, right? And this is gallons. Alright. So you realize something here. So you could have anywhere from 33 gallons upwards. Right. Huh?
Fish tank water.
In the fish tank water, right. So anywhere between 33 gallons to 100 gallons if you're going to use this stocking density. But with that, can that be supported by the grow bed? When you pump 80 gallons of water from your 100 gallons of water, how much you have left for your fish?
20.
How much fish water you need?
Nothing left.
You need at least 33 gallons. Is it safe to work with that small volume of water? No. So therefore, you realize that they have sufficient water to support your fish in the system when you work with a smaller, based on a feeding rate. If you design your tank size to hold 100 gallons of water, it probably won't make much sense, right? It just goes to show you can have a tank that can hold a lot more volume of water for the fish that you're going to be using to feed your system, right? But you have to take into consideration you know what happens to it when you pump it. So you usually want to work with a pretty safe range where that is concerned, and just work with 3 times the amount of water. So when you pump it, you have at least 2/3 the amount of water left back in the system, which means that you could actually grow more fish. But it means that you're going to have actually more nutrients. And that's a real safety factor to work with in terms of buffering for your pH, buffering for your plants, buffering for the fish themselves. Your fish shouldn't have oxygen problems. 3 times as much water when you use 0.1 to 0.3 range. And if you triple the amount of water that is used in the system. So what we actually find is that the amount of water that you have displaced without the gravel is the amount of water you will have in your tank. You understand? The same amount of water without the gravel, the half a foot displacement amount, which was 254, you could easily put that in your tank. So you could use the same amount of volume inside the tank as you would have displaced for the half. Right. Right. Not the volume on the grow bed, just the half of the 6 inch, right? You could just use that amount without the graveling and just use that as the amount of water that you run. You could use more, could always use more water. Just to be, because your water is really key to the whole thing, right? But technically you could use less. You could actually, if you want to run it on a bare minimum, just ensure that you have sufficient water to support the fish at 0.1. Sorry, at 0.3. At the 0.3 amount. Right, so it really shouldn't be 1 point, it should be 200 gallons. That's why I say it's going to be doubling the total amount, because if you drop and using a 0.3 ratio, it's going to be twice the amount. So it's still cutting it close, and that is why we say exactly. So it's best to use 3 times. Right. So it's best to use 3 times the amount of water that you actually need inside here for supporting the system itself and to have enough buffer and so on. Remember that the raw system actually uses about 10 times the volume of water, and this is now using 3 times. Alright, so everybody understand that? Yes?
So you're saying the water is already we should really have 300 gallons?
Right, I'm saying it's safe to do that, and it might be wise to do so because the more water you have in the system, remember, your feed is going to be okay. It's always good to have additional water. When you have a lot of water in there, you're buffering the system and keeping the system safe.
Right, so teach them more water. Because you go from the tank to the grow bed to the sub tank, back to the tank.
Right?
Right.
Right. And when you add a sub tank to this thing too, when the water, cycles and go through, you're really going to need. One of the points I want to prove here is that you really don't need a lot of feed compared to the volume of water.
Right.
Right? You really don't need a lot of fish. You really don't need a lot of fish to the volume of water.
Food to water. You don't need to
provide for the plants.
But
right.
So I'm thinking that this is not how it appears. I'm not sure that all the tanks are interconnected
to the sun.
With the level. So that also affects the system variation in all the fish tanks.
Well, we just did it for one, but if you do it for all, it's the same fluctuation. A little bit different because you add the sub tank to it, a little bit different if you add filter to it, but it's all, once you add those bits, it's always making the system better.
Isn't it wiser then to have the sufficient amount of water in the sub tank that will fill the gold and empty them so that the fish don't have the situation of constant rising and falling in the fish tank?
That's one way to look at it, But it's best to always have connected because you can isolate and have a problem.
Yes, isolation, but I'm thinking that you really want it to rise and fall only in the summertime because and if you have a situation like that, it's easier to add nutrients to the summertime only and it takes some time and circulate in the system.
But if it's pumped from the sun, it's going to affect all the other transformers that are connected. You could actually have a much larger sump, as you're saying, and have all of that just connected, but that extends the cost of it again. When you can interlock everything, and the range of movement, 1/3 is really, well, I said it's safe enough for the fish. The range of movement is still safe enough. Our preference really, and that's why we're adding the filters to it, because a range of movement with a larger system, with a larger sump and larger filters, it's going to be so much less. Right? And the example that we did here is really a simplification of what we have.
So you recommend interconnecting the sump with the fish tank?
Yeah, man, all the time. Yeah. Why? Because again, if the sump isn't connected and you're not getting, how will you then get the same quality of water when it's short?
Because
you have to have several other pumps.
No. Alright. If you put it in a gravity system, for example, and the fish tank goes directly to the filter. And the filter goes directly to the cooler, and you have them staged up. Then gravity moves the water from the fish tank to the filter, then from the filter to the bed, and then the fish tank drains into the sump tank. So you only need a pump.
So where your original?
The pump would only be required from the sump tank to the fish tank. So there you have a point of control there.
Where? In the filter?
In the sump tank. Let me go. This is the fish tank, this is the filter, and then you go with it down here. And then the sump.
On a different level?
On different level.
Okay.
So you have
I understand.
And I'm thinking that more economical because you have to have a pressure to move the water in the system once you get it to the fish tank.
So you have to pump the water?
To the fish tank.
Right.
And that's saying that there in this system, that method now, you don't have a rise and fall in the sun. So your fish tank have a constant, the filter have a constant, and the go bed has a range of constant, but the sun change.
Yes.
And so you only need, if you keep the pump in the sun. I'll show you the there. That's the one I designed. But I'm saying to you that with that one now, you only need to know the volume of the go bed, and then you put it up to maybe 30% of the water in the sun.
But what would be unsafe about the sun as you have it now? I can't say.
The only problem I have with the sump is if...
There's a range of motion.
No, but the range of motion is the sump is...
No, in the rear tanks.
No, you would have a range of...
No, I mean currently, I'm talking about currently.
In this now, the thing I don't like is that you carry a range of motion.
Up and down.
On a scale of economy. That range of motion, if it's at 3%, and look at it over a long term on a large scale system, it means you have a 3% less production in your fish land.
No, if you stagger, look, if you have a staggered system and you have a harvesting system, you would what, change the size of your tanks to suit the growth rate of fish?
No, I'm saying that the fish tank will always remain constant, so you know the volume that you have there. The grow bed is what affects the fluctuation of water in the system, right? So I'm saying that it's 33% of the total volume, argument's sake, of all the grow beds. So you know that the sum tank must have a minimum 33% volume, total volume of water for all grow beds. Therefore, if you put it above the 33%, say put it at 50% of the volume, you have always that volume. So only place you have a fluctuation in volume is zero. So what I did is when I was using it, if I wanted to top water up, I top up on the sun. So I had a float bag on the sun tank. So when it go below that minimum level, it just open the valve and water flow from a storage tank in the sun. So you don't think
the system I have is
ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah. Same system.
So I kind of get what you're saying. And that when discount that it would work and so on. I like the idea that we use the skin and cat when it comes to aquaponics.
I found it easy because I didn't have spend time maintaining it a lot.
Right, and you never had any issues of service?
No. No, my friend come over for the fish and
Alright, so I think I appreciate what you're saying in terms of the fact that you have many designs and so on and so forth. I really love to see different diagrams and shape. I've seen hundreds of them and so on. And that way, I've never seen one.
Type that you can find, especially in commercial. I think it's the most common type in commercial. For ebb
and flow.
Ebb and flow in commercial systems.
Which one? Murray Hallam. Alright, good. I know this system right now.
More economical.
I know exactly the system right now. Once you tell me, it's Murray Hallam. Right. Alright, but the calculations that we did here would be applicable more or less across the board for most of them. So, like I said, I'm not going to say this is the holy grail for anything in terms of aquaponics, which is always changing. I know Hallam started out in a similar manner as this. UVI started out in a similar manner as this. There are improvements and additions that we have actually done as well in terms of how we've increased some size maybe 3 times. And particular systems with added filter to it as well, and we have the flowing of water through up and down and go back. So we have not seen where the range of motion is that significant in terms of the productivity. We haven't seen it, maybe it's there, and explore other ways, look at other means of production and increase productivity. If your target is say fish, in this case it's not, so the range of movement for the plants and so forth, it's not so much of a great thing. And I really agree with it, and I'm really debate it because we don't really have the time for it and so on, right? So we can move on. So at this point, are you satisfied and do you have an understanding of why we come to certain sizes, why we come to certain volumes? Do you have a better appreciation as to why it is the way it is for most systems, if not all systems? There are some calculations, there are some assumptions that are made, there are some target goals and objectives. In this system, like I said, our targeted with the plants, you could go use the same system setup. The volume of the number of fish that you put in the system is a range, right? You still have to add water to the system on top of and so on if you want to ensure that you have a system that's runs. Alright? Any questions pertaining to this? Good, thank you. So we're going to look at system construction. Now this system is really for the one of those that you see down there. This one is for the 24-foot grow bed, 4 feet wide. The tank is about 900 gallons. it has a sump, which is roughly the same size, and it also has, well, this one, it doesn't have a filter, but our newer designs all include filters now. And by the ratio has more water as well, so more water for fish, just to ensure that you even have a more buffer, and you can actually extend the system based on the same volume of water. So one of the things that you can think about if you're really not going to focus on fish production and you want a chance with the amount of water, you should actually have this probably a little bit less water. Spend some money from moving from the tank size into grow bed size just to compensate a little bit more. Alright, so what are we looking for in a system? First of all, looking for how much it can produce, correct? Right? Agreed? Startup cost should be low. Right? We're looking at hoping for that, right? Good. Lower running costs. Quality of the fish and quality of the vegetables that they're going to produce. You're also looking for a robust system. You don't want something that you're going to put up this evening and then by next week it's down, a rock down, sun start walk, it start melt in front of you. You want a system that will have little or no maintenance issues and something that will stand the test of time. So there are two systems really that have somewhat proved this. Floating rod system, ebb and float system. And these are two systems that are tending to go in a commercial direction. I think more so the rod system in countries that really actually have, cheaper energy costs than we do have here, and that have certain inputs that would not be so easily available here. Ebb and float system is one with a media bed, and a media can be anything that's inert. So that's a comparison of what the UVI system is like. University of Virgin Islands, many say that they are the pioneers in the recent dispensation of aquaponics. You don't need to look and you don't need to know all those things actually. But if you notice, the one thing I want you to note here is feeding rate. This here. The feeding rate, where we are 1.4 to 2.3, the feeding rate is 5.6 to 9.3.
Does it still come up with the same with the body mass according to the feeding rate?
Yeah, it's going to be, in terms of fish, it still use the same body mass calculation for feeding rate for fish.
No, I'm saying with their calculation, does it work out to the body mass on the fish? Because you feed them to get the fish weight, right? And since they are...
No, well, this feeding rate is really for the amount of grow bed.
Okay.
Square footage for plants, not necessarily for your fish. Right. The feeding rate for fish will remain constant for tilapia.
Paul, I think what he's getting at is that because you're feeding at a higher rate per square meter of plant growth area, you can feed your fish at a higher rate and get them to market faster.
Put on the body weight much faster, that's what I'm trying to say. Would it be the weight that, since we feed that 1 to 3, and they feed that almost 6 to 9, do their fish grow faster, put on the weight much faster?
No,
maybe the size of the fish individually, maybe you have more body mass total.
Body mass, if they feed it more treat.
No, let me explain what's happening here. This feeding rate here
is the same tilapia they feed it?
Is feeding rate per gram per square foot.
Okay.
So the feeding rate per body mass, total body mass of fish, is going to be fed at, well, can I finish up?
I think what he's saying is that
but no, they have something that's it's not.
Oh, wait, wait.
Which I never
remember. I know, it's the grams, this is the total amount of converted waste per square foot of plants, but your feeding ratio is going to be the same for your fish. So your feeding rate for the fish is going to be still using the same 3% of total body mass for the fish. You understand? Right. So that feeding rate is the same for your fish. So that does not change for the body mass. So So what will happen is that you may have more fish in the system.
Right.
It's a huge system.
Right. So it's more fish in the system, not necessarily more feed per fish. You got that?
And it's more water, right?
However, the reality is that they may tend to grow faster because there's a lot more aeration in the system.
Okay. And that's very important.
Right. And there's more volume of water per fish. So they have more space and so on and so forth.
And more plants
So they will grow fast. But the system is designed for it's still designed for plant production because they do make a lot more from plants and fish. But it's a lot more forgiving in this case to the fish than the system that we have. So both systems are forgiving in some sense in terms of the volume of water. However, if you have, because there's a requirement to pump a lot of air in the system. If you have a power failure, then basically the fish have probably hours to live. As opposed to the other system, if you have a power outage, then they'll survive a little longer because there's not much, there's still some amount of, air still in the system. You don't have the high densities of fish to the volume of water as in the raft system. Your plants will definitely die because they'll drown basically because the roots are not getting any oxygen whatsoever. Got that?
Yes. Do you have any experience with the aggregate? You mentioned 3/4 rocks, but I've seen a lot of clay.
But practicality is here. It's a commercially clay commercially I haven't seen where clay is used commercially in the very last day. It might be used for maybe aspects of it, but not in the very last day. Rocks is what I know they use. They use like other things like shale and so on. As long as it's inert and you don't have a lot of fertilizer or leaching or anything like that from it, then it should be safe enough to use. And then you have to think about the cost and availability. Shale might be tricky because of the edges. Shale, half sharp edges. Your plants, you might have issues there. You might have issues in terms of planting without seed product. Right, so if you want to read up on this UVI system, you can go ahead and read up on it because they do have a lot more data than against most systems that are out there right now.
What code?
UVI.
SR.
University of the Virgin Islands.
What's the quantity?
All right, so if you Google SRAC 454, then you'll probably get this come up as your first thing.
Okay.
And by the way, that's the first system I tried working with Jamaican inputs and so on.
That's the first system up?
I tried working with raft system locally. Some issues I found with it because the floating rafts that were available and at the dense side, they are the very brittle ones that will break up easily, and the raft that had crevices in it, so I have a lot of insects that were hiding in those, and then within a short period of time, the whole thing, you had the algae to go on. The amount of air that was in my system was like, I think I went all out in it, so that's why I can tell you don't. It was 40 feet long, and it was 8 feet wide, and a lot of things. But the energy, man, the amount of energy was taken just to get air pump. Yeah, the air pump, so water pump was really tough. And I simply put a ground bed system beside it, which again, it wasn't so much of a stupid move because it was a smaller system. But the ground bed was giving me a lot better result with almost little or no energy. So I was sold on the ground system at the same time. So that was, my experience there. So the biggest, for here in Jamaica, I know the biggest factor will be the availability of inputs to run a system with a raft system. So you can import some of the things that are required, but then the energy cost was really what I didn't about it. The raft system, that's the design they have at UBI. They have a lot of filter, loads of filtration because they don't have any gravity to help them. So the ebb and flow system, fairly simple. You know it already. Uses 1/4 to 1/8 the energy of the floating raft system. It's I said it's more robust, less maintenance, and fairly easy operable. Once you get the hang of it, I would say. Once you get the hang of it, a lot of what was this 3-day seminar will look like breeze. Once you know the hang of it, you get a feel for it and so on, you'll understand. And a lot of what you hear us talking about it will become reflexive to you. It's just going to easy to think about it, you know? Those are the same calculations I was went through, some of the same things. So you see a lot of this, so I'm just quickly look. So when this is the presentation, we cover the components and the design, some considerations for your locations, some awareness when it comes to safety, tools and equipment and materials required. And I put that in here because many a time if you're going to hire somebody to do the work, believe it or not, how I check this, I'm asking if we have the tools because they'll stretch you out, right? Maybe Christopher will tell you more. Yeah, because he's in the construction field and man return up today and not carry tools and charge you for it anyway. So have an awareness of those things because very important. Drive up or drive down your cost of construction. And furthermore, if you show that you have an awareness of these things, yeah, I think the people component in any business at all is one that you have to take into consideration. That's a system that we had in a place called Drummelly. You can tell what's that in here?
Drummelly St. Lawrence.
Drummelly in Trelawney. You know what's that? That's the Lantro. I tell the story about this place. This place used to be run by a group, small group. Believe me, everybody was energized and they had the system going until money started coming. Yeah, the quarrel started.
Where is that? Drummelly.
Drummelly Trelawney. After the quarrel started, so some people get fed up and said they don't want to do this again, so they left. Eventually, it was those people who were the working ones who left. They can't deal with the foolishness. So it was left in the hands of those people who were not the working ones, and it failed. It went down to almost, what we saw in the bed the other day, right? The rat thing, right? Good. We took a decision and asked the group if they would lease it over to some young people. 2 young ladies, their husbands are the ones who built it. 2 young ladies said they'll work on it and they'll work on it. They are the ones who brought it back to that. They made links with hotels. They were selling them to Pantry Pan Butch, farm, not the same. Blackwell owns it. They were getting top dollar for the cilantro, right? And they were just basically walking distance one. And then they also, for the excess, they were taking it to Mobi farmers markets. And they were getting orders and so on. And the fish, when they were doing so well that they were able to buy expensive fish feed at $9,000 for 100 bags, floating fish feed with 30% that was being imported. Danny Bunting, who's in Clarendon, he got them in and he would sell it to us at no profit at all, and he helped them down here. And the fish did so well. I think they had so it moved them, I think they had the system running for about 3 to 4 months. And the growth rate of the fish over that period of time was phenomenal. I mean, they were harvestable fish now, and they were pumping water. And the only problem is that the source of water was river water. So they did have some issues with the snails and so on. But it kept the system going. And because the fish were so big and they were more excited about the fish and so on, and doing very well,
They neglect.
what happened?
They neglect.
No, they stole it. We suspect one night, about 1,000 pounds of fish. Yeah, those fish were really large fish. They were we call them the white tilapia. They grow a lot faster. That's Rocky Mountain white. They grow a lot larger, some up to 1.5 pounds. They, by the way, they started to, these are two young ladies, you know, and one of the husbands alternated, you know, kind of help in and out. And it just broke the spirit.
Yes, of course.
It broke the spirit, yeah. Completely broke the spirit. Because without the fish.
So what happened to the system now?
It's basically flat, nothing. So the idea is really to get one of those same young people, next training, they'll come back here and then see somehow we can get some kind of support to get them. But to be honest with you, like I said, I'm saying this to say something is later on, right? Because one of the things we said to them, if you look on top of it, what do you think is there? On top of the fish bed? So that, what is it? What's that? What's that?
Shade dot.
What's this here? You can see that white, that red line? Bamboo. Bamboo shading it from you. They want to cover the system from algae growing inside. But what do you think is that? Bamboo. Bamboo was a security in an isolated place. Bamboo. So that's something that seriously needs to be done. That is what I'm saying. I'm saying sarcastically. That's no security for anybody. It's an investment. But let me tell you this. Part of the reason is this. Do you think if they had taken their money or they had gotten a loan to invest in it, they would be looking at it? So we have to take that in mind and take that into consideration. Alright, so 1 second. In the absence of the fish, the question is in the absence of the fish.
The plants didn't just
no, the plants wouldn't go down at the same time because you have a amount of nutrients.
So they
could have been restocked and so on and continued and so on. And the system is quite resilient to that once you have it. But somebody has to, but anything like that could kill the spirit because they had plans for the fish the very weekend. They made arrangements. They were going to have a fish fry very weekend coming. They had some bad rains the day before. There was some delay. Of course, they used the same people that sold it because somebody heard a pickup in the night. 1,000 pounds of fish don't just walk in and cook us back and get out. It was a serious operation. And that was somebody just, yeah. Alright, so the rearing tanks, that's the description. That's for the rearing tank here.
free what?
Alright, so some of the things. Freeboard. 6 inches freeboard mean that the water level comes up to here. So there's always a 6 inches clear here, and that's accommodate. If you have rainfall and your fish don't go up to that size and they start jump out, protect them from cats. Like Nakalva used to come and see some fish bones around here. And one morning they actually see the cat. The cat just wait until, and he was timing them because in the morning the fish would come up and then he just hit them out. Let's move on. So that's just to give you some ideas of, but have an idea that this is the sort of thing and this is the language that I want you to get used to. Rearing tanks, freeboard, depth of tank, gallons of water, that kind of thing, the dimensions of your rearing tank. Rearing tank is where you grow a fish. Alright? And I also get the reason why we have them buried. So temperature control and ease of access. Some tank is a center tank, it contains a pump. It's a tank we use for adding additives. All the pipes are connected to there, and it depends on the design, basically. As what Kyle was saying, a sub tank could be anywhere, basically, and could be equal or twice the size as large as the other tank. So basically, some tank could be used in any way, shape, or form, in a design up or down, any way you want to put it. Right? Good. So we speak the same language. You could also increase the subtype, potentially increase the grow bed size. You could install bulkheads, partition to provide for filtrations. Again, like I said, nothing is static. You can design it otherwise. Adding filters and more water to your system can only do good for your fish and can only do good for your system. Water quality, remember that there's 3 things. More than 3. Plant, bacteria, fish, water quality. Footings, that's what really support the BSF. The tank, it could be a table. If you're going to do something system, it could be mud, clay, rock, anything. It really has no other function but to support the grow bed. Normally you want the same height and the level as the tank as well. Your plumbing, that's also another component of the system for the water to go through. When the water passes over those pipes, believe me, the friction does carry some amount of air, well, air will be air, carry some air to the system as well. Media, so the small one over there, big one. So it could be 5/8 or 3/4 size. That's what we recommend now, and that's so that you don't have what you call channeling, which is over a period of time you have an accumulation of sediments in the system. The water flows not going to go evenly around the rocks. Why? Because as sediments build up, they clog up areas, channels, and then the water roots also as well, you know, cause clogging. The water will tend to go through where it has the least resistance.
So the bigger stone will give more space.
The bigger stone give more space, less clogging. Not to say that you won't clean, you will clean as well. Tank, you need a tank. You need something that you can harvest water to treat it so that you can add to the system. Remember, you can always hold the water for about 2 days, 40 hours, it's good enough to dechlorinate. If you want it that fast, you can add a pump to it, air pump to it, and degas it. The design could also be like this. Could have a middle bed. That could be a sump, it could be bigger than that. This could be your growing tanks. It's just a matter of connecting the pipes. So it could be any design. Singing?
Yes.
Right.
So that's the song.
This, in this case, it could be. I'm not saying that it is. It could be. I mean, you could use a song for anything, you know. But it just depends on what sort of design you want and what will work for you, based on the shape of your land and so on. It might be more difficult to elevate or to build a sump all the way up if you have a flat land. If you have a land that's already sloping and you can put maybe a sump that can supply a pump up to the sump and come back, then that's quite fine.
What I had to do was to actually dig about 3 feet down into the ground to put the drum.
Right.
Right.
So that again is a very basic view of the site, from the side. By the way, yeah, Kyle, the system that you're talking about, I remember, it's exactly the same system I did. My sump was actually higher than the carbon. Yeah. Anybody can tell me where's that?
Look here.
Okay, good. Right here. Right here. Alright, so site selection. This is also very important for you.
Save your headaches later.
Think what you want to do. Think about the capacity. Think about the space that you have and how you want to utilize it. Select your area pretty well. Include a nursery. Remember, if you have seedlings all the time, you really shouldn't have a consistency in supply. Think about expansion, think about what you want to, how you're going to expand if you're successful. Think about the sloping of the property. Remember that you can change the design to include terracing. That will definitely increase your cost because there's going to be some amount of leveling. Whether or not you can build to accommodate the appropriate orientation. And you want to orient it in such a way that you get maximum sunlight on your system evenly throughout the day. If you're going to be using a greenhouse also, you might have to consider the windage may be a factor, so probably best at that point in time to orient it in the direction of the least resistance to the wind. Soil type, if you're going to go on rock, you know, your cost is going to be increased. If you're going to go in soil like that, it's going to be, you know, less. If you're going to go in mud or clay, you have to consider rain times, time of year, and all those things for your construction. Remember that you don't just calculate how much you can make throughout the year. Calculate how much it's going to cost you more to build at a particular time. So you might have to delay in order to catch the next market. So think about those things carefully when you're thinking about the business plan. Time is very critical. Weather factors, wind direction, sunlight availability, temperature, the zoning, whether you're going to block off a drainway or natural runway for water. Okay, where you're going to really root it up, right? Land slippage, think about that. Trees, canopy, sunlight blockage, whether or not you have poisonous plants, fish around you, whether or not your neighbor is a man who has a spray. You know, man is always killing, spraying all sorts of things around the grammar zone, you know, those things.
Animals too?
Yeah, think about animals. Water availability, where you're getting your water from, how much water you need for your system, whether or not it's gonna be, you're gonna be able to have it purified and so on. It may sound like these are, wow, whole nothing to think about, but just take a process, go through it, you probably do it and you don't realize you're doing it.
Right, step at a time, one step at a time.
Right. Think about yeah, you can use groundwater, but just ensure it's filtered and purified. Filter means you don't want mucky and, you know, black water in there. Road accessibility in terms of your construction, also in terms of getting to market, also in terms of whether or not it makes sense. You're going to go down the river and over the hill and go there. Right, so think about it.
I have to use tool and
yeah, access to power. Remember, security. Remember, in the whole construction things, this could cost you more than the building itself. You know, if you're not careful, you spend more money than you have to because of these things. Access to power is important when you're going to build. Site security.
But the security officer for that?
Site security, remember that? Think whether or not you have animals around. Must draw them goat them. Next door neighbor and the cat. 2 foot puss.
Now keep a mad people from them out. Right.
When you're building, these are very important things. Anything can happen when you're building a building. Think about that. You might be the one doing the building, but it will become a burden, and trust me, I wouldn't want to know since I'm on that on my property or anything like that. So just say so, you know, just have a plan. Think safety. Prevention better than cure. Safety to yourself when this thing is happening. I'm covering all of these things. Pay attention, please, because it is, you know, serious thing right about it. Ask the man who went building things anyway. Just tell them to get it done, just go. Too late when it, you know, something happened and you yourself you didn't know. Yeah.
One second.
Yeah.
I know this is just straight away from the guys who are building the place now in Portland. Yeah? Is it deep Portland or close to center?
No, deep Portland. Definitely deep Portland.
So I'm doing it.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes from here.
I like to go down there.
Yeah, I would extend that to some persons who on one day, on one occasion, can probably go down there and see how this is. But I want to coordinate and organize. So I make that, I throw that offer and I extend it. But we can do that later on. Maybe I have all of your emails and so on. And we can propose it and then we just.
Yes, we agree on that.
Just some ideas, you know, thought of stuff you need in the first aid kit as well. People come here and see this and can't be talking about aquaponics, but it's still aquaponics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Health and safety is important.
Yeah. A lot of time I spend on that. So, these are some of the things you might have to consider too. For clearance, tractor, backhoe, jackhammer, wheelbarrow, buckets. Simple things. Block, cement, steel, rebar. Hey, listen, the thing is, if you do decide to take this on, anybody can build it. Anybody can build it. I'm just showing you that you need this, just ask this question. Then we will do help you with the technical support. Sand and gravel. But what I don't want is that anybody just run off and say they're going to build an INMED system.
No.
We have to provide the technical support. I don't think any bank will, you know, we will not be signing off on any bank thing if you know, so you're going to do it yourself. I mean, do it yourself without working out at the end of the day. So I prefer if that kind of, we have an arrangement so we can see where that is going from here.
Right.
And remember, it's one person and 2 of us here, so.
I have a contract.
Other consideration, technicians and builders contracted to build the system. So think about these guys, way delivery, truck delivery, all of these things. I might be beating the thing over the head too much, but you know, here we go now. So we took some shots of when we were building that case here. Sorry, knock out. First thing we do is check out things up. So when the build things come, we check them off. You make sure you have an inventory system. When we do the calculations, we actually go down to the last steel. Supposedly, the system of case, we know how much steel we're going to use, and we're not supposed to have 9 feet of steel in the back. First thing I usually is let them cut up the steel to the dimensions that I want, because guess what? You don't want when a man build, them cut off a piece of steel here, son, and that's it, and then cut off a piece of son, so it wastes a lot of money. So we do the calculations every single length of steel, and then you cut them to dimension, stockpile them, so in building you can reduce the time.
Right, just reach for them.
Reach for them, right. Good. Line out, do the site preparation, clear it, line it out, start it again. Alright, so what you're seeing here, the next thing we're going to do some frames. But we realized that to dig the hole and then put them in don't really make, well, we thought it made sense. But we realized that it made more sense to build the boxes first. We know the size that we need. Why do you think we need to build the boxes first?
The boxes?
Yeah. The frame forms to take the shape of the tanks in the ground. Why do you think it makes sense building them first?
Because you don't want to build your stills and stuff like that for it to stand up, is that it? No, you don't want the exact size.
Which the ground, you mean that build it in the ground?
Yeah. No, you can build it in the ground, yes. But what we usually do is, well, we usually dig the ground first.
Right. At the size you have under the plan, and they end up with a less size when you start to build.
I can tell you why we're not doing this, sir. When we build the farm, so we know that we are going to make 5 farms. So when we build them in bits, so that we don't, use up too much material. So we build 3 of the farms first. Then we dug the hole and put them in there, in that order. Because when we dug the holes before, rain came. What happened? Spill it up, break the thing, and then it costs us to go take it out again. So we build the farm. After we build the farm, we make sure so we have check the weather, leave it and I can work, save money, save time. Because you can build a farm and put them down and wait for a good day. But you can build the farms and do them and cut up the steel and so on while other things happening. But when you do it in the way that you build the farms, dig the hole, put them in, cast the cement, reduces the time.
That's why I invest in our weather station.
We usually just check the internet and we see the rain.
You want the accuracy, every time you get the accuracy.
Right, so when you do that, when you call in your excavation, you would have already had your boxes sorted out. So by the time you finish, you already just spray them up, neat them up. Just imagine you have that like that now and after that you go and build the boxes. If rain comes, you have problems. So we usually have the boxes so you can throw them in. So we always organize them. I'll show you a simple work plan. So that's again a part of the process. We would have had these pre-cut so you can actually do a lot of work and prepare the things before. So we're doing this to order to cut down on time so you yourself can ensure you know the measurements already, ensure that the person is going to build, have these things cut. You can reduce your cost in construction by having, these are simple jobs that persons can do. You know measurements, have them cut the measurements to this size. So you don't need an entire work team of 15 men out there doing all of this because you're going to drive up your cost of construction. So be aware of it because even if you're a contractor, you want to show them that you know what you're doing. Why don't make one man cut the steel in one day, you can cut off all the steel, you have the measurements already. One man cut the farm and do it next day, 3 men come and nail them up and fit them up. You understand? Then while they know that if you have timing going on properly, I say this because again, the same project can run 2 weeks a week or 2 months or 2 years. You know, so now right now come to them, you know, so they have the boxes, them building, you know, so they so finish the boxes, call the excavation man, you have to make arrangements beforehand, let them come timing, as soon as they dig, they square it up, drop in your boxes, somebody start mixing cast and the same day, everything can be done. Right, time, speed, everything, all of those, one day. right? So you could have 10 people working in one day, but you're going to finish a lot more job. You can supervise, you can get a supervisor to come and watch them do all of that in one day, because you would have had done all the pre-preparation already and put those in place. So after that, so this is the phase after you actually do a box. Some people do it differently. Some people might find it easier to do it a different way. So I don't think it makes much of a difference.
That looks like a flood.
Yeah. No, that's actually the bottom of the tank. That's cast with the
cement.
Right, cement. So the box will go over that side now. So they put the box over the, well, inside the steel. And then the cast, they actually use the soil itself on the outside as backup for the box, so you don't need. So again, that is why we never like the rain, because when the rain came, we actually had to use more boxes to go on the outside. Don't forget to put in a pipe. Yeah, we nearly had that happening. Right. So that's casting. So what you see here, the box is really the inner part of the tank, and they're pouring it on the outside. So the soil is going to form back up for it. And they're going to put a little box on the outside of the top part to kind of cover for the other bits. So that's the footings there too. You see we have the steel pre-cut tied already for the footings?
Cut and tied.
Right, cut and tied. So you know that's done already. So the CNC man can cut and tie. And you don't need a very highly skilled person to do that.
Yeah.
Right, so get that out of the way and you can cut the cost again. So you get a more skilled person to lay your bricks. And again, laying the bricks on the footings. That's not a high, you don't need, it's not a wall, it's square. You understand? The main thing is that you want it level. So I spend a lot of my time making sure that the corners are straight and the squaring is done. And the leveling is done, because if you lose that, probably can. It will still work, but you may have more challenges in terms of your water might be a little bit off. Again, that's a preform. We use that to lay that in the so we don't use steel, we don't use the BRC wire, that wire there in the grow bed.
It's down in the earth. How you drain the tank?
Which one, the big tank?
Yes.
They are connected, you have to either pump it out and normal. The same pump that you use, if you want, you just simply relocate it or lock off the other valves and suck the water from one, it will go in that one. So you really don't have to, just send it to the sump. So lock off 3 if you want to suck from one tank, you lock off all the other tanks. So you retain those water and just let all the water drain to the sump and then pump it from the sump. Yeah.
The diagram picture. Like you said, exactly the sub tank go below the grow bed. So when it drains off, it goes into the sub tank.
It goes back into the rearing tanks first, and then the rearing tanks are connected to the sump underground, and then so the water all comes back to the sump at the bottom and fills up back.
Right.
So all of the when the water levels out, it all levels out in the same as the rearing tanks. So that's a grow bed with the form on it. So that form is going to take that off and use that to build another grow bed. So we usually buy enough material to do 2 or 3 grow beds and then we double it and so on. If you're going to go it over a longer period of time, you can significantly reduce the cost. Why? In terms of material, that is. And you can call a man to come in today and tomorrow, whatever it is. Because as soon as you finish with one form, just take it out back, reuse it. Until you basically are now no shape. Each time you use it, expect to see that the shape is going to be a little bit distorted.
You rent a concrete mixer?
The concrete mixer, the cost of that was twice the labor. So it never made economy. Again, remember your drain pipe. So remember, the drain pipe is embedded in the middle of the thing. This is an old design. We're not using a drain pipe anymore. We're having one drain pipe at the front of the system because we realize that it make a difference.
Sorry, repeat that last part again.
That drain pipe that you see there.
Yeah.
This. We no longer have this drain pipe in our design. what we now have is a drain pipe. This same drain pipe,
right,
just have it protruding at the front here.
At the front.
Yeah, but it actually falls below the level here, so that we don't have we don't have any clogging at all. So like a trap, it's like a trap. So we have a little. There's going to be a guard.
Red light now showing up.
No, there's going to be a guard that's here, below this. So the water will actually be on a level. So the plant's here to here. Right, I got it. So below that now, you have the water coming down. So I think I have a diagram here.
Like your regular concrete stand.
What's the capacity that pump that all that water?
We'll get to it later on, so we'll show you. Huh? No, it should be level. Everything should be level because the water will naturally go where there's water. This place somewhere, the water is going to fall. You want the water to fall this way and come back this way, in line with the gravel, the level. Otherwise, if you have a fall on it, you're going to find that plants are going to be growing unevenly because some plants will have more water around the root than others. Gravel, that's the washing. This is the tedious part that many people don't like. But if you do it one time in this manner, you don't have to do it again in the same manner, at this volume at the same time. You can do it, you know, over a period of time as a harvest of the system. But when you look at the quality of the water that's coming off the gravel, look.
Why do you wash the gravel?
You wash the gravel to get rid of the excess sludge, mud, all that from it, right? You don't want that to bring that to your system, right? And let me tell you this, very importantly, check every material that you're going to purchase. I'll tell you something, Metcalf Street Remand Facility, you know that, right? It's our juvenile wards, right? No my then at all.
Yeah, you still live on Metcalf Street.
We ordered gravel from a construction company, from a hardware store. This is the time we had actually employed a contractor with a master's degree in construction engineering.
So he said.
Right. First thing, he deviated from the construction plan. Right? And it's a good thing you ask the question about sloping because he sloped well. Not he, but the guys who built it under his supervision sloped it. Right? And I think that he should have known because he was checking and it wasn't done. When I went and saw it, which at the time I had other tasks, so he had that done too. So we had to correct that. So even in correcting it, the tendency was that it should slope it. They were talking through the slope. So sloping, we don't have to slope anything at all. The second thing is that the gravel that was purchased was not inspected. When it came, we saw glass bottles, nails, everything, steel bits. It was put in the system. When we went there to do some planting outside, you know what happened? They had to shut down and do a search because the wards went there first day, the same day was on, and then did a search just to make sure that the nails, wards were being, nailed in a prison, it's a weapon. As I said, it's not a prison, but the profile of some of the same youth is one that would match others who are in prison. So it's a dangerous thing. So we had to dump everything, take out all the gravel again, send it back, and we got new fresh gravel.
So the other construction didn't bother with no master's degree. Just use the money.
Yeah, we always work. I mean, the truth is, let me tell you this, The truth is that for all the systems were built by basically semi-skilled average guys who supervised.
And then they
the task and then they were supposed to do. We were just overburdened, and because I was on the west side, that's in Kingston, we said that we needed somebody to cover it, and it was funny because on that different project, right? And so there's cost that would cover it. It was a disaster. and it was, again, I kind of take responsibility because the assumption is that these guys expect. You understand? So, yeah, I had a master's in construction engineering. Or whatever engineer. Whatever they
masters in something else.
Alright, so
destruction,
right, hold on, you have a question. The last word I got from it is that the system is alright. They had some fish issues because of all this rotating stuff. It's, you know how aquaponics is. If it goes home to them, it can't come up back to them. So it's just a matter of them maintaining. So the system itself will work. It's just that the people change.
Okay.
Right. But they still have it as a part of the program because, better yet, at Medgar Street,
Remind center.
what they found though is that the youth who were engaged in that way with them were so much calmer that they really, and we got several calls, OAS called us to see if we could build one for them.
Yeah.
Again, we never had the time or the energy and spread it, we couldn't take that. I know that someone from the Ministry of Security and Justice had called us about it. Sorry about that.
Right. You decided before it was trying to washing it. Where do you wash the sand? You just put it in
Yeah, you wash it inside the system itself and you move it as you wash it. And in the water, because this drain itself has a back, there's a back drainage to it. Actually, this, you see why, you know, that new designs don't have the back drainage on it, you see? So no, I don't. It's not an design pattern. I know I probably remember, but you should also have a back drain. Right. So you have a drain at the front, so you can let the water out at the back and it doesn't contaminate the system inside. Right. There, lock it off from here.
No, just lock off the sound. Lock it off.
Oh no, good. Right. So so what they do is wash a section of it and move it out of the drain. And then the water, although the water is on the bottom of it, the top part will be clean, and they just continue doing that until they just move back all the clean part of the front here, and then wash the back part, and then just move it up until everything is clean. So it's a system of washing and moving. Wash one side, put the clean side to one side, continue doing that eventually. So all of the top ones will be clean. Then we'll wash the area that it's coming from, move it back, and then wash out that one. Just normal water. Yeah, just normal water. Yeah, so it takes a lot of water to do that in the first instance. Right? And that's just one method here. There are guys, another set of guys just had a mesh and then put a little bit on the top mesh, rinse it off, and you wash it. So those things are not going to tell you to do it because it depends on how you want it.
How much truckloads?
It's there. Truckloads of it for this thing, I think calculation is 8 yards. 8 yards are got inside the system for all of it. So about a yard per year. And you can calculate it in terms of density.
That's for here, right?
For here, yeah. Alright, so that's the system when it's completed. Now you're going to allow the system to work itself for about 1 meeting here, please. Thank you very much. So you're going to allow the system to work and cycle and pump or recycle itself for a while. What's going to happen is that the water is going to look murky for about a week.
Because it's still dirty.
It's still dirty. But then eventually the water will settle with the water going around. It will attract itself back to the gravel inside the system, and then the water will eventually become clean.
Trust me.
That's before you add fish to it.
Yeah, that's before you add fish to it. So you can keep it cycling for about a week and a half before you add anything to it. Just to test it, check for leaks, test it, see if it's working properly. When you check for leaks, just check the volume of water, see the ratio of movement as well. Ensure that it's not moving below a mark and it's not coming too much above a mark. And you check and see if you have any cracks or anything like that. That's the only time where you really get an ease in terms of dealing with it. Right, so the consideration, the gravel washing, the inputs, the timing of the cycle, the temperature, the nitrification cycle, oxygenation and aeration, the plant and fish introduction. So in that order, think about it in that order. So this is a sample of a work plan. So those are how you do it. To work, write it down, and put how much they'll get if they finish the task within the first week. Identify work area, day one, how much work they need to do that. It's 1 month. Verify the power and the waste the same day. Determine the need of extension card, all these things. So you walk with them and find out when they need. Arrange for meals if you have to feed them and so on. So set up a camp if they have to move from a base. Sometimes best. I usually use people from outside of the area to do the construction because in the area, baby mother and girlfriend, auntie and two baby mother fight, you know that kind of thing. And also too, you have to be careful because sometimes they go there and find a baby mother and build a house out of your material. Yes. The quality checks on the block, stone number, probably last minute check on those things. Ensure that what you check is actually what is loaded on the vehicle. Receive and check out the material list. Make sure you have a book, pen, all those things. Cut the steel for the tanks only, and I say for the tanks only because you really don't need the steel. The shorter pieces can be used on the grow bed if you're gonna do so. Cut ply and all of the details in terms of what should be done in week 1. And then you schedule the payment. Yes.
Something just came back up to me and it just hit me back again.
Right.
Why
Go on again.
why not use the use of the plastic vats? You mentioned the
alright, so because of the
vats.
Yeah, either gonna bury them or keep them on flat surface, right? I have them covered. If you bury them, there's some amount of walking that will take place when you're gonna bury them, correct? Because when the gravel goes against that, it will tend to push the sides in.
No man, I mean for the tanks that you're burying in the ground.
Right, I know. Yeah. But even when you bury it, when you have the weight of the gravel that goes against it, when you set it down, it can tend to warp it. It can tend to shift. If you have a tank that's supposed to be round, totally round.
I'm talking for the fish, you know. You say the gravel that goes against it. The one that's for the fish.
Yeah. Hold on. When you bury it in the ground, what do you need? How do you secure it?
With water, when you put water in it, it goes.
Oh, so you build it, you cut the around its exact size and so on and so forth.
Right.
The other thing that I know did happen. Well, there's a friend of mine who's doing it down south, right now in Montego Bay, but he's doing ornamental fishing. But he didn't bury his because he was saying that he found out when he was putting it in the ground, he kept on walking when he put it inside. The second thing is that when you have the weight of it. And again, this is at 5 feet for controlling temperature, so they want to bury it at that height.
Yeah.
When it's on top, yours doesn't warp at all. With the sun heat, the temperature doesn't, the heat don't bother it. Alright, so fine. So we decided to go with concrete because of the resiliency and all of things. We have heard, based on what Fishes told me, if you look at some of those that they've used, they've thrown them away because after a time, hot and cold, temperature fluctuation, inconsistency in temperature, the fact that it changes shape. So how long have you had yours?
Mine's probably about 10 years and them haven't gone.
Covered and sheltered and everything. Well, none of our concrete structures that we've had in the warping since we've had them in the ground. I'm saying it's either or. You can use plastic if you wish. I'm not saying that concrete is the only way. Just hear me out and understand me. We are not saying that we have the absolute answers to it, but I'm saying that there are some challenges that some person might find with the plastic that you haven't found, right? In terms of your design. And you're doing what kind of fish?
Aquarium fish.
Aquarium fish, the requirement is usually to have more sterile environment than in aquaponics. So and most aquarium people use the bats in that way as well. But I've seen aquarium systems too that use concrete as well.
Yeah.
So just either or, maybe what's available to them and what's cheaper for them. You understand? To build a tank maybe for the same dimension for some might be costing maybe a little less, you know? I don't know.
It just came back up.
Alright, so
no man, it came back up because of all of this thing and $70,000 we just buy one.
Buy a bat then and you use for what kind of grow bed?
I mean for the grow beds, yes.
The concrete?
Right, for the grow beds it's concrete, but I mean the dig and bury and all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, come on, cut down that. 1 vat, 2 vat, 3 vat, and I'm done.
But just kind of have an appreciation of stuff. If you're gonna do it though, have the appreciation. Do the complete thing first.
Yes,
in terms of all the calculations with the connections and the sump tank below ground and all that, and then I would love to see that work.
And that usually over 300 gallons.
Right. In terms of size. I can hold 1,000 gallons of water in half of the pots and so on. So it could be a scale issue too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a size issue as well. Alright, so so that was the first couple of days that we worked on. This is the last couple of days, just to ensure. A lot of it is going to be repeated as well.
First week, $165,000. 8 week, $140,000.
Yeah, but look, there's week 8 and week 10, they're just skipping off a week and then the previous week if you look at it. Yeah, so kind of hold back on the latter. Sums of payment in the latter stage.
So that's the payment for the labor cost?
Labor cost. Remember, you have more workmen that you're working with as well.
Right.
So,
the total labor cost.
Right.
That's week 10.
Alright, so the solar system. There's a requirement for a solar. In the system, you want 24-hour operation. You want a system that cycles 8 hours in 24 hours because the timer on and off, when you calculate it, should be on for 8 hours totally out of that 24 hours. 15 minutes on, 15 to 20 on, 45 minutes off. It's regulated by a timer and it will pump about 2,500 gallons every 15 to 20 minutes. And the pump we're shooting for AC pump rather than a DC pump because AC pumps are more easily maintained, they're easier to find, they're cheaper, and but it also means that if you're going solar, you need an inverter. The other thing too, if there's no solar, you can use an AC pump direct in the grid system.
So without?
With solar, you need an inverter for your AC pump. Without solar, you can plug it in the system. The other thing too with an AC pump is that if the solar is going down, you can always charge the solar with a grid system. These are some of the features. But when you're doing this too, ensure that you talk about the simplicity of the setup. Although you might have a contract which says there's going to be maintenance, assume there's none, so that you can do it. Then you think about the simplicity of doing it. So in how you're setting up, also set it up so that you have accessibility, but think about security. Right? Your panels are harder to move than the batteries and the charge controllers, so focus on the smaller items, which are more. And the panels are cheaper than the batteries. Could be. Believe it or not.
In some cases.
Right. Yeah. And you have a question?
Do you have a supplier that you actually take from?
We have a contract, we have a potential contract based on specifications that we like, but we're always open to options, yeah?
Dennis puts in part solar system. Dennis back there, he does solar stuff.
So Dennis does it, I know you do it, and we also have, so we can look at those. I mean, right here in the house, you have everybody who can play that entire system from, we have the marketer, we have the distributor, we have the contractors, we have the solar people, we have the security people, you know? So we have everybody here already for everything. And I would say use up that networking that you have because I'd be happy to work with anyone I could establish that and everybody.
Alright, I know I think you got the finances, so you can give it to me.
There you go. Alright, so think about some of these. So for all your solar experts and so on, this is what we're looking for the system. The other one down here should be affordable. Here should be affordable.
The backup, what sort of wattage?
These panels, 250 watts, I think is all we have. I
think there's a picture maybe of the Denso one there.
Yeah.
Is it in our presentation?
I don't think it's on this one. No. It might be.
Well, it's 500 watts.
No, it goes in yours.
500 volts.
It's a total of 500 watts. No, 400 watts. Two 200 panels. But we are thinking of going 250s with more batteries as backup. So we want to up on what we have. This is now what we.
It's 2.
I don't remember if I have it in. Yeah. I don't have it in this thing. Might be another presentation. Could be. I don't remember. Alright, so The other thing too is that you want to have a structure over your system. Why? Right, you want to control the environment, right? So ease up the rain, you want to put a shade over it as well. That was going to definitely increase.
I see some of those domes.
Yeah, so the thing is, there's a cost factor with it, and what some people say is that they haven't seen the cost benefit in terms of compared with wood and security, but it still can do something, cut the side and go in.
Yeah.
So be careful of total enclosure in our temperature. So
you need to consider where you're at too. If you're by the water and you put metal out there, you might not have much of a greenhouse left.
Right. Case did ask us specifically to avoid why they have their greenhouse. I think it's a 6,000 square foot greenhouse they have down here. Yeah, they did ask us not to design one from metal because what being so close to the salt here does it. Right. So we designed a simple system that you saw there, which is cost effective. It would cost about 300,000 Jamaican dollars, something similar to what I have on here. Definitely less. Could be less, about 250.
That's today's prices.
Yeah, I'm just quickly guesstimating for the one that is out there right now. And remember too, that's been treated long. And people can get wood posts and so on and get permission from forestry department to cut it and use it. You could use those as an upright and for the roofing, you use 2x4s.
Yeah, I was thinking of using like JPS wood posts that were.
Yeah, if you can get those at minimal cost, but very
$2,000
for one post.
One post.
Well, that might not be bad because we split it and use it. Alright, so the question is whether or not bamboo is usable. Yes, there's a lot of information on the internet about the use of varying types of structures and material to build structures. So what's available to you in order to reduce the cost? Remember to if you want production, your aim and objective is not to have a pretty and beautiful thing like outside and not produce something. Best you have the worst looking greenhouse and turning over some serious money. A man who builds his can sell the same quality properly you can have it. Sending money to kind of recover his cost.
That 250 includes the covering and everything.
Yeah man, I think I think so the cover.
I see a foot over.
Alright, so back this direction again. Please. The interruption is kind of distracting and we're wasting a lot of time because of it.
Stop the interruption.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, we have to finish here. There's a lot of information you have to absorb, and we don't have so many meetings, it's not going anywhere. So please, I appreciate you just direct your attention and this young just focus. Please. We can ask some more questions. If you have a question, just raise your hand and answer. But we're in the
You can explain on that, please. Explanation.
Sorry, so this is
look like a chicken house.
The cover. Basically a greenhouse cover with the grey portion is covering the tanks. And the sump tank at the back there, this is an extended sump with a filter. Right. Basically, we're almost there. Think about the challenges of work relationships, storage and accountability, quality of materials, quality and repair, and the weather factors. And then that's it.
Is there an advantage in terms of, I noticed some painting, or colors and so on have an impact on temperature.
Right.
I was wondering if there was any recommended type of paint or color,
yeah, the question is whether or not there's any advantage in the kind of color that you use inside the system. And I say yes, because it's been proven scientifically that certain colors will attract pests, certain colors will repel pests, certain colors will pull heat, some colors will reflect heat, certain colors will give off ambient light that's good for your system, some will absorb the light that's going to be poor. As for the varying types, some will be good for some plants, but not good for others. Like I think red is not very good for, it's very good for tomatoes, I hear, but it's under portion of the leaf. So it depends on exactly what you're planting and so on. But we still gotta suggest that you stay away from black. Just in paint. I know Alan is here, so. but avoid certain dark colors in here because pests will love dark colors and love to hide it. Avoid the green because green is going to cause problems in the growing environment as well. And insects, right? Alright, there's just I don't know if you have more time, but you know, we never completed the crop production, but I want to kind of let it just have an idea as to what's on the...
Hey Paul, while we get
oh, some snacks, right.
Yeah,
some
snacks and then you can get finish up the plant production.
Good.
Y'all come back again. So the first question on there is what is the appropriate daily feed input of the aquaponics system? What do you think we need to know in order to answer that question?
How many fish do I have?
How many fish?
Feeding rate.
How big they are, how much we're feeding them.
Feeding rate.
Yeah, feeding rate. Okay, actually let's look at question B, because I think that one might be the easiest one to answer first. How many fish can be supported by the tank size? Okay. All right, so what do we need to know? How big is the tank?
Fish size.
And we need to know, okay. We need to know how big is the tank, we need to know
800 gallon.
How many pounds of fish per gallon of water that we're working with, and we also need to know how big the fish are, right? Okay, so we know that our tank is 800 gallons. Okay, we know that our stocking density, number 2 up there, is 0.2 pounds per gallon times 0.2. So who can tell me what 800 times 0.2 is?
160.
160. All right, so I don't know where to stand to do this the best. I'm left-handed, so maybe this is better. Okay, so we got 160. This is pounds per gallon. So what is this 160? That is, you know, gallons, you know, pounds per gallon. So we got 160 pounds of fish. Okay. So that's how many pounds they are. So what do we need to know next? We need to know how big these fish are. They're 200 grams. All right. So we can either convert the 200 grams to pounds, or we can convert the 160 pounds to grams. Which one do you want to do?
Pounds.
All right. So we will turn the 200 grams into pounds, right?
Yes.
All right. So we know that 454 grams in a pound, right? Actually, it's easier for me if I multiply this. So tell me what 160 times 454 is.
72,604.
17.
72.
640 grams. Okay? So that's how much total biomass that tank can hold. That's the total grams that tank's going to have. Okay, and then now we need to know how many of those fish there are. So you divide this number by 200, right?
Yeah.
Because the fish are 200 grams. Tell me what that number is.
363.2.
363.2 fish. Okay, so we can't have 1 2 fish, so 360 fish. Okay. So that's the answer to B.
So therefore,
That's right.
200 fish, 360 fish.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's how easy it is.
Right, the answer to the show.
I would like for you to show your work. Because I want you to prove that you know the answer. I want you to prove that you know how to do this.
254 grams equal pound was multiplied by 160.
Does everybody have this? Okay. Huh?
You just slash something. Is that pound or gram?
This is per pound, grams per pound, 454 grams in a pound.
Right.
Equals 72,600.
So this is the total biomass that tank can handle in grams.
So you divide that by 200.
This is 200 grams per fish.
It's 160
fish.
160 pounds times 5. 450.
Right. Yeah, so we're taking pounds and we're turning them into grams.
It's 4. And then you have it over 454 again.
Right, and don't pay attention to that. Sorry.
Into grams.
That's your unit converter.
That's your conversion.
That's your unit converter. So is this 160 pounds times 454 grams? That's how many grams of fish you can have.
Divided by 200.
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
When you divide up.
Sorry, this is not.
Yeah, erase that that one.
Sorry, we needed to know what the unit conversion was.
Erase the piece that you said to do. And the other one up top.
Underneath.
So this one is divided by this. So this is the number of grams of fish that you can have. And this is the number of grams
72
per fish. This is the biomass. So this is fish. Numbers of fish. It's a lot more challenging to write upside down and backwards. All right, so you have this now? You ready to go?
Divide the 200, from the 72.
All right, one at a time. Which one?
That gives you 363 fish.
Right. So this one is divided by this.
Right. That 454, a little 160, and you erase that.
You want to erase that?
Right. That's what she was
That's
asking.
confusing everyone?
That was what she was asking.
All right, got that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody can do this now? Okay. All right, so now we know we have 363 fish.
That's number B.
That was B that we just answered. All right, so we can actually keep this number right here. We want to know what's the appropriate feed input per day. Okay, so we know this is our biomass that we're trying to feed, and then what else do we need to know? If we know how much biomass that we're feeding,
3%. 3%.
Do you know the weight of the fish?
This is the weight. This is the weight. This is the total weight right here, right? This is the total fish. All right, and so what you
Divide it by 200 to get them on the same.
we're moved on to A now. Question A.
Yeah, alright, that's all. Yeah.
All right, so we know this is our biomass.
Alright.
All right, so 72,640 grams was here. All right, so we need to know what the daily feed input is. What else do I need to know from your assumptions?
Feeding rate.
The feeding rate. Okay, so we're feeding at 3% of the biomass per day. So if we multiply this by 0.03. 2.79, that's grams, right?
Yeah.
Grams per day.
So divided by
Times.
1.3.
Times. Yeah.
So this number times 3%
Okay, times. My bad.
gives you 2,179 grams of feed. Okay, Now that's the answer to question A, but what if we were feeding this to adult fish? Well, we're feeding them to 200 gram fish, so how many times a day do we want to feed them? About, I think we said earlier, 3 times a day, right? So if you take this and divide by 3, what is that number?
726.
726. So 726 grams per feeding.
Or per fish.
So this
Per
is
feeding, okay. Yeah, divided by, yeah, sorry. Per feeding.
okay. So that's our total daily input, and this is our divided by 3 times per day. So this is 8 a.m., 3 p.m., and 5 p.m. Or excuse me, 8 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. Feeding them with that amount. All right. So, but you don't. That's just to give you an idea how to do this. This is the answer. This one here. Yeah, that's your answer for number one. Okay. All right. So the next thing is we know how much feed that we're putting in there on a daily basis. So the next question is, how do we figure out how much growing area can you cover with that, right? So we need to know how much area, but actually the question is how long should your grow beds be?
To observe the nutrients.
So first of all, let's figure out how much growing area that we're going to be using. How would you get to that number?
Amount of feed.
So you're using this, right? What do you have in your assumptions that could be useful to tell us?
The amount of plants?
Right, so A, you start number 1 in your assumptions is the daily feeding rate. Right? Okay. So we're going to do this in square feet, so that's 1.9 in your unit, in your assumptions up there. So if you take this number, grams per day, and then divide it by 1.9 grams per foot square per day. Who can tell me what that number is?
1147.
1147. That's square feet, right? Okay, so 1147 square feet. Okay, now we need to know how long the grow bed's going to be, because that's what the question's asking. How long is it?
What calculation that is just with our
All right, so we know this is how
Square
much
footage of the
daily
grow
feed
bed.
there is. And then you look at your assumptions. A, under the assumptions, tells you how many grams of feed per foot square per day, so that's 1.9. So we're dividing this number per day by the number, your 1.9, and then that gives you this many feet square that you can support based on the number of fish and the amount of feed that we're putting in. Okay, so we've got how many square feet, now we need to get to length. So what do we need to know next?
Width.
The width of the grow beds, exactly. Okay, so how wide are our grow beds? 4 feet. So we take this whole thing, we divide it by 4 feet. What number is that?
286.
286.
That's a big bed.
Long.
Right. So remember the other thing is that's the growing area. Not necessarily one bed. Right. So you could, but the question asks you how long your grow bed should be. So it's presuming that's a bed. So when you think it's a long bed, you could design that for you depending on how your land is shaped. So you could cut that up into different sizes. You understand?
So how long do you want your grow bed to be? How long do you want each individual grow bed to be?
20 feet.
20 feet. Okay. So we know that we've got 281 feet that we need to cover. If you divide
36.
But how many feet? How long is 20 feet?
You're gonna 8 feet left over.
So how many grow beds do you need then? You take this number here, 286, and divide it by 20. How many grow beds do you need?
10.
14.
14.
Huh?
All right, so this all gets back to what Paul was talking about.
So, oh, 286, sorry.
This all gets back to what he was saying is that you can support a lot more plants than what there is out there for the amount of fish that you have.
Right.
So there's other ways you can get rid of those nutrients and utilize those on your farm, okay?
Like drip irrigation.
Exactly.
Right.
Something like that. Okay, but the answer to
20 feet.
the answer to this
20
one
feet
gonna
is
be-
how many?
That's just if you were just picking a number out of the air, how much space? Yeah, how wide is the area that you have on your land? Say it was 20 feet wide. Okay. Okay, so we've got A, B, and C.
20 feet. How much? How many? 20 feet.
14 of them.
14.
So keep in mind, those grow beds are 24 feet.
4 feet, yeah.
Yeah. So it would all change based on that. Okay, last question. And this one kind of gets down to where the money's at, okay? So how many lettuce plants can you grow in this grow bed?
44.
Okay, so we are looking at our assumptions here is our plant spacing is 8 inches by 8 inches. Okay, so we know we've got this many.
Square foot.
Well, what was our total square footage?
11. Yeah.
It was 1147.
1147.
1147. Is this one on our agenda?
All right. So if your spacing is 8 inches by 8 inches, your grow bed is like this, and you know it's 4 feet wide. So this side is 4 foot. All right, and you divide that 4 foot by 8 inches. So you need to multiply 4 times 12 to get inches. 4 times 12 to get them in inches, and then divide by 8. What's that number?
6.
I was going to ask, can you
6.
write down the calculation?
Can you repeat what you just said? After you draw the box, what you said again?
Okay. All right, so if we were going back a step, we know how many square feet of grow bed that we are going to need to support the fish.
Right.
And we know that our grow bed is 4 feet wide, so we know that our spacing for our plants is 8 inches, okay? So if we need 4 feet wide times 12 to get it into inches, that's the total number of inches wide it is, which is 48, and then you divide that by 8 inches, right? So 48 divided by 8 is 6. So that's how many rows that you're going to have.
6 rows across.
So you're going to have, be 6 rows across. Okay, so you got 6 rows across. And then you take, you need to add the length, okay? You need to add the length here. Turn that into inches and then divide by 8 inches. Okay, so this number times 12, 286 times 12 is what?
How did you get 12 though?
12 inches.
12 inches on
3,
Yeah.
3, 4, 3, 2.
I'm lost.
And divided by 8.
Okay, so that's the total number of inches long that this grow bed's going to be. And then you divide that by 8 inches.
429.
429. Okay.
Yeah, I think they need to conversion to inches.
Getting lost. Okay.
All right.
All right, so
I can't see the calculation. I have to see it step by step. I can't.
from the
You have to do it in
all right, so but we got A, B, and C, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna do D now.
Right.
All right.
He started with a 4
No, he's gonna go over D. I think they just want to, what I'm hearing is that from, yeah, the conversion of feet to inches, and then, yeah.
Hang on.
How much when I get 163? How much when
Okay. Yes. All right, so the question was, why did we divide it by 20? What I was trying to demonstrate is that you need that 287, what was the number? 286 total length of grow bed that you need. But as you notice, our system out there is broken into multiple grow beds, right? They're all 4 feet wide. But those out there are 24 feet long. I just asked, you know, let's just say we're doing this on your property, maybe you only have 20 feet of space wide. Exactly. So you can calculate this. Right. Right. So I took another step beyond. Yeah, we got to the answer, and I took another step further. Yes. Now, what we need to do, because we're not doing them at 1 foot spacings, that makes the math easy, but you can actually compact more plants in there if you want to. So our spacing is 8-inch spacing. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to convert feet to inches first. Okay, so 4 times 12 equals 48 inches, right? All right, so 286 times 12 equals...
Oh, you're converting?
Yes,
Yes.
you have to.
Yeah, I'm converting from feet to inches. I'm sorry, that's where I lost y'all.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where I lost y'all.
I learned myself.
All right, so what is this, 286 times 12?
What are we calculating?
3,400.
3,432 inches. Okay. Now, this 48 has to be divided by 8 inches. So you know how many rows wide you're going to be. So 48 inches divided by 8 inches is 6.
Go back, hold on, go back. Where you get the 48 from again?
48 is the width of the grow bed in inches.
Right.
So now we can calculate how many rows we have. So 48 divided by 8 inches is 6 rows. Okay. 3, 4, 3, 2 inches divided by 8 inches. What is that?
429.
429.
429.
You can hang a walk right and backwards.
Okay.
This is totally different question.
All right. So we know we're going to be 6 plants wide, and we're going to be 429 plants long. Okay, so tell me how many plants that we have total.
574.
So what we're doing is 6 rows times 429 equals
429.
Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yes. 1 row have 49, 6.
That's a lot of plants.
4 foot wide grow beds, 6 rows.
4 across.
Yeah, 6 across.
6 across.
6 plants across and 429 plants long.
Yeah.
That gives you 2,574 plants. So that's the answer to
Yeah, when you're done
D.
with 2,000 plants, I get paid. That's like your big farmer.
Yes.
I want to do something like that.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Okay, so from the top of it, this much. Alright, I'm sorry, but the glare is where you can't see this very well. Alright, so where we started out with our answer from C is we knew how many square feet that we needed, we knew how wide the grow beds are, we knew how long they needed to be.
Convert that to inches.
Right. So 4 feet wide grow beds. We know what our plants, based on our assumptions here in number 6, is that we're growing at 8 inches by 8 inches, so in a square like this, okay? So 4 feet wide, and you have to turn it into inches, so we're doing 4 feet times 12 inches in a foot, gives you 48 inches wide. That's how wide a grow bed is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, there's 12 inches in a foot, right?
Convert from inches of feet.
From feet to inches. Right.
That's 48 inches.
Right, yeah, there's 12 inches in a foot, and you know you're 4 feet wide. So 4 times 12 is 48.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll do the same thing with the length here, so. All right, so 286 feet long times 12 inches per foot gives you 3,432 inches. All right, so we know what the length in inches and what the width in inches is. Now we are going to divide that 48 inches by 8. So this is how many plants wide it is, or how many rows of plants we'll have. So 48 inches, so that's your 4-foot grow bed this way. You divide it by 8 inches, because that's how the space between the plants are going to be.
So you're going to get 6.
So yeah, whenever you look in there, and there'll be rows in there, there'll be 6 rows of plants. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
6 rows times.
All right, the same thing we're doing here. We have our number of inches long, and then we divide that by 8 inches.
We get 4.
So you're talking about going up this way.
Yeah. The number of plants.
So you get 3,432.
So the length.
So yeah, so we get 3,482 inches divided by 8. 429 plants long. So this is 6 plants wide, 429 plants long. Now keep in mind, out there we're using a lot of different grow beds, right? So it doesn't look like it's 429 plants long, but if you stack them end to end to end to end, it's like 429 plants long.
The bus is here, yeah?
Does that sort of make sense?
Yes.
If you draw it out, it would, it would look like you'd have 6 rows of plants.
Instead of me saying plants now, I can say like column root.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. All right, so you got 6 of them this way, 429. All right, so it's sort of like multiplying length times width now. That gives you the total number of plants that you can grow, which is down here. So that's 2,574 plants.
Hold up, 429 plants long. That means 1 row, 1 straight long row. That's 429.
Yeah. 500.
In a 20 foot.
No man. Oh, if it was 20 foot, you just divide it by
425
So the length,
that's for the whole
the length of the
286.
What size? We're talking feet now. What size?
If you're going straight, it's
286.
Yeah.
Right.
3,436 inches. That's the length.
You're trying to look at it out in the field.
Yeah, like how long?
Yeah, so.
Right, so you wouldn't make a bed. Why you wouldn't make it that long? Is that why you wouldn't make a bed that long? Is that the further away you go from the source of your pump, the water, the less water you get to the other extremities. And then your distribution of nutrients. Yes, it will eventually reach out there, but every time the water will be starting from the front part first, then it's slowly filling up going down there.
Unless you put stuff in the middle, make it spin down.
Right, unless it's...
That's more on the book, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just like drip, in a drip system, irrigation, you don't want your base longer than 100 feet. You can't, right, control. And then the different crops, you can plant different crops, you know.
And it's easier for you to control the problem and stuff like that. Then when reaping time, yeah, after
yeah. 5 more minutes. I just want to scan them to sort of see in your mind. No man, just let me look at them. Yeah. All right, quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, all right. I'm not going to spend any time just talking. I'm just going to flick through the slides so you can see what's there. All right. It indicates what is indicated here is some help for you to identify nutrient deficiencies and then what you can do. This is a chart here that tells you, again, it describes what they should look like because of the deficiency. This is the same chart continued.
This is in the handbook and it's going to be in the presentations that we give you. Right.
And it also tells you what you can do in terms of adding and how you should add additives to the system. These are not pests. Aphids are the ladybird there. You see it has an aphid in its mouth. You see it?
Okay. So is this can answer one of the questions?
No.
Why plants could not grow well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
could be
an answer.
pH deficiencies, anything like that. Could be pest. So it could be pH, pest, nutrient deficiency, any one of those. Lack of water. Yeah. Yeah, these are what I'm saying, you know, these are some of the challenges with growing plants.
So pest, fungus,
a pH balance.
Yeah, diseases is really pH, nutrient deficiencies, pH instability, pests.
Nutrient deficiency.
Nutrient deficiency, pests,
and pH instability. Yeah.
So your most effective tool to deal with pests is to monitor them.
Sorry, I remember yesterday you were talking about wasps as well.
Yeah, there are some beneficial wasps that will...
Special type of wasp,
no,
parasitic wasps.
Yeah. Our wasps here are mostly parasitic wasps. They'll really go for your harmful pests. So you shouldn't get rid of wasps from your farm.
Okay.
Well, as long as they're not going, as long as you can go to your farm.
That's why all around the school is so much wasp.
So like a particular like this row cover, if you can look at that, it's a simple design made from PVC, and that's very, very helpful. And so instead of a entire, if you could get that in plastic and have proper ventilation, you don't need to put a big greenhouse thing over a structure. If you have, for instance, a very simple one bed system like this is really for a nursery. If you notice there are different size plants in it.
That's what I do. That's how I set up my thing.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I said, ventilation. This is one that you're going to just simply take off and put back over it. So there you go. Those are some of the beneficial pests. Well, you see, I tell you something, this thing really, really does work. It really does work, and I can more than encourage you guys to have an understanding of the sort of pests that you'll see around and those that are really considered. Because if I tell you, one of those ladybirds can eat up to 50 aphids. One single one can eat up to 50 aphids.
Per day? So
per day.
You buy the ladybug?
No, well, you know, they will be attracted to your facility if it's helpful to them, and if they see the food there, they'll go for it. Nothing. Yeah, because if you have them and catch them, just put them inside your system and they'll find the food there. So later on when you go down, you'll see there's a deficiency in the system down there, and I hope that you will be able to identify it. At least we'll share that with you. So the roots can be affected. You really should have little or no root issue in the system if you never introduce soil to it. Right, because soil does come with a lot of fungus and other microbes that are beneficial and also negative to the system, right? So right here is a list of approved pesticides for the aquaponics system. A lot of these are based on potassium bicarbonate, especially the fungicides. So it's one way of getting potassium in the system to release is potassium bicarbonate. It has multiple beneficial impact to the system. Safety, provide optimal environment.
Excuse me, Paul. Just a second, you said something about washing the roots when you take them out to transplant them into the.
Right. No, what I said.
The roots with
but
fresh water.
Right. No, washing the plants generally, you want to rinse them off in some kind of almost you want them sterile in the system. Right. But don't overcomplicate it though, because the thing is this: if you're having healthy plants in a nursery, you can transfer them, you can go straight. The root ball that's going to be developed when you plant them in the cells is not something that you want to have accumulating all the time in the system, because ultimately it's going to clog up the system. Right. So you can rid your plants of that root ball and don't have to worry, because there's sufficient potassium, phosphorus inside the system to get the plants going very quickly without much problems or much stress to it.
But you do have to be careful, because the more you handle those little plants, the more likely they are to die.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to be
you have to really be gentle too. Yeah, for real. Yeah, so this is one of the questions that was asked of me earlier. Whether or not the floating raft system will provide a larger size system, etc. If you look at this example here, I think Alan is the one who did this. You did this, right, Alan? So you have the floating raft system, you have a rock wool, you have a soil, you have pea gravel. If you look at the lettuce size, pea gravel in an aquaponic gravel system compared with floating raft, rock wool, and soil. And that was backed up by another study, I think. Some research that was done, but proving over time the gravel system scored better in terms of production and so on than the raft system.
What is called pea gravel? The white rocks?
It's the river stone.
River stones, yeah.
Oh.
But it's a pea as in maybe the size to describe it.
Okay.
We did some of this already, so we need to go back over it. Maximizing your profit. Consider using different methods of planting your crops. Staggered crop production will guarantee that you'll have crop in the system all the time. I know you covered some of this as well during the online training, so that way, beat it down too much. These are some examples of intercropping, staggering. You notice it. That's how you have multiple crop in the system. You have.
That's a beautiful.
You notice this? You have cucumbers.
Is that Ryan Chatterson's farm?
That's a beautiful farm. Look at that farm.
That's in Orlando. That's in Orlando, Florida.
So beautiful.
What's the purpose though?
It's lettuce. It's red lettuce.
Those are cherry tomatoes?
Those are tomatoes.
Those are full size.
Those
are slicers.
So this here is really just giving an idea as to how you can plant a system. You notice they'll always have harvest when you plant it in this manner. So you have one set of crops behind the other. It was being practiced here. It's a group up in right. So this group was doing kale. They were transplanting there, so they were able to harvest from one system every week. And these are okra that were grown inside the system right here at Nakalpa. Right, so this is the pre-harvest. Before you start your harvest, just remember that if you spray your crops with certain fungicides and pesticides, there's a period of time that you need to pass before you can harvest. Contact your market and obtain the delivery date, packaging preference, confirm price, do your distribution plan, and then you plan for your safety. These are some of the things you need to do your harvest, something to cut, to store to clean. Best done early mornings for freshness if you're going to deliver to the buyer same time, or late in the evenings if you have storage. You should have a processing area clean. This gives you an idea as to the breakdown. One of the things that you need to do is to go through proper technique in terms of washing your hands and keeping yourself clean.
Do we all have to get a food handler's permit?
Yes.
It is advisable because you want, if you are going to be selling to your hotels and so on, they'll ask you for it. I mean, it's not entirely a requirement by law. I think, well, it is a requirement by law in terms of handling for food, right? True. Food, right. All right, so this one in terms of your food handling, you notice the hands, they're dirty and so on. Trust me, you need to do better. So this is a kind of a facility that people have been using to wash. Now, you can also, rinse off and then dip in ice to keep them fresh. You can spin dry them in an old washing machine. Well, in a washing machine, you can actually use it as a spin dryer. Packaging. What do you think about that sort of handling your food? Right. So. Right. So this is some packaging that was done by another group, which I said they were the same group, the young people. They did the kale powder, they did cilantro, and they had a market.
And they did their own packaging.
They did their own packaging. Alright, and this finally growing any kind of crop in aquaponics, it requires a discipline. It's not difficult, it requires a disciplined approach. And it must be done with careful planning of what crops you want to plant based on price and market. And in order to maximize profitability, timing, careful observation, prompt responses to issues, and good record keeping. Those are definitely key. All right.
We have a format we should go about pursuing record keeping.
Yeah, I do have that presentation, which unfortunately we don't think we have time for, and I will give it to you. You'll have it, you'll see it in your system maintenance presentation, because it's the most effective way. Yes, it's there. The best way of really maintaining your system is by having proper records and so on. Right. I think it's here at slide number, I think it's down at the bottom part.
Question. Oxygen. It's important why in the aquaponics system?
Oxygen?
Yeah.
For your fish. Both fish and plants. Both fish and plants. Plants and fish do require a lot of oxygen. Well, sufficient oxygen to survive. So this covers blockages, leaks, some of the issues that you'll have in the system and how you can remedy each of them. These are samples of your log, your record keeping. So you have an input cost log, months, how much you spend, your crop activity log, what time you plant it, what are your observations, your fish feeding and water quality log. So it gives you the rate of feeding based on the size of fish, etc. It's all there. You fill that out. Production volume and sales record, that's a log that we have here for you as well. And that's it. Listening. So I don't have any preamble to this. Alan did all the preambling already. So we'll start with Louis McLaren. Nikolai Walker. Earl Finnegan. Christopher Smith. Marcus Swell.
Yes, sir.
Shay Stewart.
Congratulations.
Norman Walters.
He's the future
Mr. Aquaponics.
Hey, son.
Joanne Walters. Sorry, Joanne Wallace. Peter McIntosh. Peter Tosh. Kyle Shaw.
This is easier this way.
Yeah, easier.
Kyle.
Anishka Shelton. Anishka Shelton. Tanisha Wallace. Tanisha. Felicia De Souza.
Very much.
Chandra Smelly. Some of these have been repeated.
INMED like Midlands.
Kind of hiding it. Patricia Parchment. Patricia Parchment. Shanika Wallace. O'Brien Clark. Alright, so just silent to be
Birds start coming in.
So the system here is showing some different plants that are easily grown in the aquaponics system. So you have basil,
Lemon basil.
right? So you have lemon that are Genovese, one of them. Genovese basil. Genovese basil. You have this which is called Malabar spinach. It's a tropical variety of spinach. It has the same nutrient value as the normal spinach everybody knows in the United States, but this one is one that really runs on a vine. This can be transplanted by propagation, cut off a piece of it and stick it in the soil. Or you can plant it by the seeds, these purple seeds that you see coming off the plant itself. Right. You also behind me right there. Mint. Black mint. That's also a high-end specialty crop that I know a lot of farmers right now are really focusing on. It is really a weed, you wouldn't believe it. It's invasive. You only need to plant it one time and just continue to reap it after that. Can you imagine? The price on that, by the way, is $1,000 a pound 2 years ago.
Don't tell nobody.
2 years ago. We don't know now. 2 years ago.
Soup as well.
Yeah. I can cut your branch and you go stick it and you grow.
You sure? Hold it for them in my yard.
It just stick it.
It just grow. It just grow. Then in my yard.
This is not for short and
short
and iron. I can tell you that you have short it as nitrogen inside it as well. Because it's just consuming so much out of the system.
Now that he realizes that it's deficient, how can he get it back?
Alright, so my recommendation for a place like this right now is to basically clean half of it, sell what you can from this. If you're looking for the greener ones, completely starting with half or with 2 beds, just transfer and transplant and then start apply foliar ironing, foliar spraying to the system. Right. Manually apply to it. You wouldn't want to put this in the system because it's going to take too much. Right. The other thing you could really do is to, alright, a system like this really and truly, when you have if you have a reasonable market and you have, you know, you buy your crops and you have a good rotation, you can produce a lot. I mean, you can see this.
Spinach wise.
These are here now for how long, Kurt?
How long this been here, Kurt? Excuse me?
How long now this Malabar spinach inside here?
The Malabar spinach is here for recycling for 2 or 3 years and recycling.
Right.
Keep recycling, planting them back over. Cut them seeds.
He cuts and sells from the cut and
seeds.
Right.
This white in leaf, premier is black iron. Like a light. No, like an iron.
More than just iron locked in here right now.
Iron, potassium, calcium.
You could have a lack of calcium deficiency.
It can eat them.
Yeah man, this it won't, the same thing that it won't be as nutritious. Because the same iron is why you're going to have, you know, digestion in your system. But it's still iron to plant to eat. Alright, the height of the beds, yeah.
They're the
Right, but again, this is all a design and topography thing. You can always raise the ground. Or you just throw rocks and gravel that will, you know, elevate your own height and you can walk and, you know, just point. So the challenge here when we're doing the construction that we actually had to backfill a lot of the soil in the area because that's a swampland right there. And the owner of the property really didn't want us to do too much excavation and do anything too permanent. So we're able to, if we dug too deep here, we would have hit the water table. So we did kind of raise the whole thing and kind of level it out. So you can, you know, see some designs to change to the place and make it work for you.
Okay, cool. The spiders, what they
well, you know, spiders is almost anything that we can catch. But look inside that one here. What kind of things is there? A lot of things are trapped here. Right. So any kind of pest like you see come inside here, all it's supposed to have. You see the danger now with a lot of the farmers that spray the broadcast kind of pesticide. You kill everything, good and bad. And so you have that kind of, you don't really have control. Even when the sun comes up and stuff like that. Working against it. You know, so that's already great. When I say you look inside and look, you actually will not find anything, well, it's not fish inside here, but it's not controlled. You can find these actually string tricks that you want the fruit, so you can find them, pick them out, take them over the hand. In fact, that pest, if you crush it and grind it up and spray it in the place, it actually repels the other one. Right, disgusting bugs. That's it. You get them crushed and put them back in your system. They get rid of the green bug. The green one and the brown one.
So you're saying that if I catch the green one and I crush it, it automatically becomes I didn't know that.
And you have a built-in defense system.
Right. So the other people, once the defense system is so I'm going to give it up.
Yeah, you might see them as pests, but they're not
really want to come down the area.
Reliable movement then.
I didn't know, but seriously, I didn't know that. Yeah, I really think. Tell me something though. I heard that said about something about the neem plant, if it was beneficial. Could the neem leaves be used as pesticide here?
Alright, so neem is toxic to fish.
Yes.
Right. So if you apply it in really reserved amounts, right, you could create a problem for yourself. If you don't apply it in strong enough amounts, then you're going to build resistance to the pest, right?
Yes.
Then you're going to get sufficient. And if you apply it too much, then you're going to affect your fish. Right. So you try to avoid anything that could create any kind of challenging situation for you.
So like which plant could grow in the system here that we could use back as like a repellent?
Alright, we have them on the outside.
Yeah, rosemary and
fever grass,
rosemary,
the basil, rosemary, the mint. They repel different kinds of pests. So that's why most time your herbs, oregano, scallion, those things tend to repel. Anything that's strong in terms of its smell will almost repel pests.
This is used in the beehive.
I thought it was French time. I didn't know it was oregano.
This is used in the beehive for mice.
Oh, yes, it to me.
They repel insects.
People had me, I check them out.
I use something I cook.
That's why I tell us that
Every time I cook, curry chicken,
soup, but I thought it was French time. I didn't know it was oregano.
No, mind you, I never know the name either. I just say it's good.
Yeah, it smells from the know when
different name.
So we know it has French time at all, not oregano.
Just check on that oregano, you see.
I might like both movement that.
What's that? No. Spinning?
Each different. One thing is it's great. Iron.
Not cut and go by the seed. Plant by the seed. Seed is very hard. Please. No, if you're not organic, you can do any other thing.
Oh, if you're not organic, you do organic.
Yeah, you can just, you can use salt or metal or
what about the ground? Is it they can use it by having some like a thing on the ground?
Yes, you can throw
I've been baptized.
plug it.
Have you need a fork?
Oh, no. I've stopped doing the things that I used to.
Born again?
When
Time you have done
cleaning
complete,
How long have you had? Is that your own?
I'll tell you.
how regular you do cleaning?
every other 6 months they do it individual thing. Because say like this bed actually out. Clean this one.
Every 6 months?
Yeah.
You need some of the stuff them to die and go back inside of the thing, like?
Not necessarily. Most of these take them off because they help to clog the system.
Yeah, what?
They help to clog the system.
Okay.
If you look carefully here. With pipe. See these pipes? These are the drainage pipes. The holes are big as like a nail. Like a nail hole. Anything can clog it. So you have to see, get in there. All of this is to part of it. Then go down, start.
So these things are supposed to get covered?
Yeah, these things come down.
But you know everything, the sediments, you know, you have it?
Yeah, sometimes. Because my one have to have sediment because I have fish in sub-tank. Sub-tank always have fish. The sub-tank helps most of the damage.
That hole in that hole inside of that?
This one right here. This one?
Listen.
You have 5 tanks along the line. Yes, number 1, number look at all the sub-tank. Number 3.
That's where you come out there, man. So what, this one in the middle?
This we will build for... It was built for the duckweed.
Duckweed?
The duckweed camp.
How does that go for you?
Duckweed, we have a lot of here. But you're using it for what now? I'm using it to do a boot camp. See if I can clear.
So you have to clear the whole inside of these little things too. The one that you take out.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because them act as a kind of dripping system.
Well, I'm going to turn on the pump and show you how it works.
Behind my grandmother.
No, we have a birth.
In Manchester.
I have been here for Monday, Tuesday. Monday,
Man, they go to this country.
Every time I say link, I use a country place.
And Wednesday. 4. Thursday. Number 2 days.
I'll tell Lisa.
Everything will start to...
I'll hold this one and hold like that.
This protein.
Oh man,
The larger grabber wouldn't have so I don't say this is a old system. The beauty about it is a crop like the mint, very hardy. It grows in almost like these kind of conditions. Nice, mucky, you know, so, and it's a funny that the easiest thing to do in the herbs, the mint.
More the fresh air.
A lot of the people that almost stop for itself because of the volume and everything. They don't have otherwise every day could have been there with the fish dying on.
Literally at the top of the water, jumping.
And also with a turtle been tapping in and putting in and all of that. Remember with this number of plants.
Teacher, give me extra work.
Yeah, nice. This is aquaponics system.
And that's where we had our duckweed too.
Right, so and there are duckweed inside there. Right, and that's where it gets its water to rinse the soil from the roots of the plant.
All of the nutrients.
Rinse the roots before it puts them in the...
Those are all nutrients, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Could you explain to me how those things operate?
So, what this does, the nutrients here, it gives the plants the nitrates it needs to grow, right? Yeah, this is a good beneficial nutrient, right? So it filters the waste of the
Step up in man.
fish
Step up.
to the system here, and
give
additional oxygen as well as
Stay here for a couple of weeks.
give us sweet food finish here.
Okay. And
We can
just
put
knock
here.
it out, knock it out.
Right.
Knock it out. So,
Put here?
What was coming out of it?
Take your time, take your time.
No, you see that,
pull out the whole of this, whole of this.
that small piece, yeah.
The water was coming out of it.
Block up,
man.
I can see through it. That's not
Block up.
Good enough.
See? Blocked up.
Right.
Alright, so when the pump is running, water comes inside the system. Normally it should spray through, but sometimes I block it. So this is why you have to do some amount of maintenance. Every day just check through, walk through, ensure it's spraying through. If it's not spraying through, just clear it. Why? Because some of the fish
See this? This is what came out of it.
So you have to do that.
Right?
So we
have a
clean now?
brush that we use and take. Save those are the need.
Yeah, watch it. Photographer get
Look at that one there. Check that one there.
That one good too.
That one good too?
She's the model. She's the model.
Alright, so a system like this uses a 2,500 gallon, sorry, 4,000 horsepower pump, sorry, 4,000 gallons per hour.
Where's my pump?
This one here and everything.
For everything. One pump. Oh yeah. One pump runs everything, that's why it's all connected in this way. Although you could have individual lock-offs down there to kind of control if you have to do any kind of repair or work on in one ear and in one bed.
Tell me something, Mr. Mark. What about the water quality here? Is it safe?
Safe for drinking?
Oh hell no.
No, I wouldn't chance it, because it's like drinking fish food,
Take a picture.
These are some red wigglers.
I saw one already.
These, and I can tell you, because of how active they are, those are real red wigglers.
I say you know that air is fertile.
Energy.
Look how small it's not even moving.
That's a baby one. So one more here.
Where they really put in there?
I don't know, sometimes there's inside here.
Give it to us. Give it to us.
Well, just eggs, yeah. Now bird we go here.
You don't need to buy a whole heap, right? Just buy.
Yeah, but I guess
do they buy it?
Good enough.
They just multiply out of control.
I enjoyed my time that I spent with all of you, and I am very sure that we will meet up again. There is so much skill within this one group, and I am 100% sure that if we come together, because we have already done the networking, if we come together, we can get something done.
Yes.
You know?
And before you go, could you just give a word and tell us why you actually came and how you found the training up to this point?
One of my main reasons of joining the aquaponics is because of the fact that I wanted to move away from actually using insecticide and stuff like that. Also, I wanted to go into a more modern, sustainable method of farming, right? And I believe that if this method is taught to other members of the farming community, I believe personally, 100%, that we will have a more sustainable economy when it comes to farming, because this system will work even during the drought time, the hurricane time and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in this, and I believe that it can work. And this is the way it is the way of the future. And I believe personally that the government should jump into this and promote it, help, and give a lot of funding to organization and farmers to get this happening. Right?
Right. Thank you.